reconvene, I should say, into our meeting. We call to order our joint meeting of the City Council, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, the Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Paris Joint Powers Authority, and the Paris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Paris this Tuesday, July 25th, 2023, at 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Corona,
Here.
Councilmember Rabb,
Here.
Councilmember Rogers. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Nava.
Here.
Mayor Vargas.
Present, thank you. Item 3 will be our invocation, which will be led by Pastor Teray Deaver from the Carpenters Church. And if you could please stand and join us and remain standing for item 4, which will be our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilman Corona.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to all the council members. My name is Dr. Teray Deaver. I'm the pastor of the Carpenters Church, and we're honored and humbled to be a part of these proceedings. Let us pray. Father, we come before you today just thanking you for who you are. We thank you for this aggregation of people from different generations, different backgrounds, different nationalities, different thought processes, but for one unique purpose, and that is for the success of this city, for the success and the prosperity of the people, of the citizens, and the businesses of Paris. Father, we ask you for your wisdom as we bring together our ideas, our thoughts, our agenda, and we present them in your hands. You told us in your word that the watchman waketh in vain if you don't keep the city. And so we're asking, Lord, as we come together with our wisdom, that we, Lord, would seek your wisdom, that you, Father, would give us an infusion of your wisdom and strategy, your plans and your devices to help bring to pass the fulfillment of potential that exists here in the city of Paris and the surrounding regions. We thank you right now for the staff, for everyone in their respective place, that you would bless them indeed, that you would keep us, Lord, the citizens, the businesses, even those that are new to this place. We ask you that you be glorified in all that we do, in business, in pleasure, in family, in relationship, in religion, as we serve you, who is Lord of all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, item 5 is our report on closed session. Mr. Koo?
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council met in closed session on closed session items A through E. Discussion was had, but no reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Item 6 is presentations and announcements. 6A will be a recognition of the Hernandez Kickboxing Fitness for their accomplishments at the United States Fight League, also known as USFL 2023 Youth MMA National Championships. And may I note that this is round 2 for us. They were here last year, I believe it was. Like, these kids are doing awesome. So the recognition, again, for the Hernandez Kickboxing. Hernandez Kickboxing Fitness recently competed in the United States Fight League, USFL 2023, and they, for the national championships, and they did an excellent job. Alyssa Campos, Ethan Barnett, Isabel Campos, and Jersey Brodowski placed 3rd in their respective divisions. Uriel Cruz, Zachiel Cruz, and Lariah, is that how I say it? Lariah Gill placed 1st in their brackets and will now be competing in the 2023 IMMAF World Championships in Abu Dhabi. Proud of myself because I couldn't pronounce that the last time. Remember, I was Abu Dhabi, I was all over the place. Abu Dhabi. We would also like to recognize the coaches. Stephanie Hernandez, was she able to make it? No. Richard Hernandez? Nope. And Julio Cruz? Nope. So I know Coach Richard, he was not going to be able to be present because he is teaching the class as we speak. And the others, Coach Cruz, she's a nurse, so she's doing her due diligence at a hospital. So, But anyway, we want to thank you kids for doing such an amazing job. And which ones are from Paris? Raise your hand, please. You're all from where? None of them are here yet? Who am I looking at? I thought it was all you in the front. You are, sir? And none of the kids are here? Oh, the Paris ones are, oh, they're stuck in traffic. They're on a long way. From Dubai. All right, so let's do this. I got to recognize all the kids. So let's move on with our second presentation. We'll come back to yours, and hopefully they're here. All right, so that being said, item 6B is a presentation declaring July 2023 Parks and Recreation Month, and this will be introduced by our Director of Community Services, Ms. Sabrina Chavez.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm here on behalf of our Community Services Department. We would like to announce that July is Park and Recreation Month. Our Community Services team is passionate and dedicated to serving our wonderful Paris community and work effortlessly to building inclusive environments and providing services where all can live, work, play, and visit through parks and recreation. This year's theme for Park and Recreation Month is Where Community Grows. Join us as we promote the vital role park and recreation professionals play in bringing people together, providing essential services, and fostering the growth of our communities. In recognition of Park and Recreation Month, we hosted free ice cream socials, barbecue, a bagel bar, and all for free for our community. We also served a delicious lunch to thank our amazing staff for their hard work and contributions throughout the year, which was well received. On behalf of our community services team, we thank our mayor, city council, city staff, and residents for the ongoing support. Please find a goodie bag before you. And now to conclude this presentation, we will feature a video produced by our talented IT staff. IT, may you please play the video? July is Park and Recreation Month. We recognize the role that park and recreation professionals in our city play in bringing people together, providing essential services, and fostering the growth of our community. Join us as we celebrate our vibrant parks and innovative and inclusive community services. Our team works tirelessly on our 27 beautiful parks and organizes engaging programs, special events, and initiatives. From the sprawling green open spaces to the inclusive park amenities, our parks provide a safe and welcoming environment for our individuals of all ages. Park maintenance ensures that our green spaces are well manicured and safe, and our sports programming provides opportunities for friendly competition, builds teamwork skills, and fosters a sense of community pride.
Beyond our parks, the Community Services Department works diligently to cater to the diverse needs of our residents. The Senior Center provides a haven for our older adults, offering social activities, educational programs, and support services that enhance their quality of life, while the Statler Youth Center provides a nurturing environment for our youth to engage in recreational and educational activities. Our Youth Advisory Committee empowers our young leaders, giving them a voice in shaping the future of our city. Our Special Events team brings our community together in celebration and belonging. Early childhood development programs lay the foundation for our youngest residents, promoting early learning and healthy development. Our Public Health Division ensures the well-being of our community by promoting healthy lifestyles and providing educational programming and events that support mental wellness, healthy eating, and active living. Our Public Art Initiative aims to create, connect, and inspire through art murals and new art programs that will cultivate the city's rich history, promote its diverse culture, preserve its identity, and beautify the city. Additionally, our capital improvement projects continuously innovate our parks and recreational facilities, ensuring they meet the evolving needs and preferences of our residents.
As we celebrate Park and Recreation Month, we recognize our Community Services Department who work together to make our services exceptional with dedication, passion, and commitment. Celebrate the beauty of our parks and the unity it brings to our community, and together, we can create a legacy for future generations by building inclusive environments where all can live, work, play, and visit.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments? I have to say, you know, it's, what we do for our community is amazing, from our toddlers all the way to our seniors. And there are some cities, a handful of cities, that don't even have control of their own parks and recs. It's a special district that does it in the city. I mean, it's, so I'm just very proud of what we do for our city, and thank you for you and your team. Councilman Corona?
Just think about my time here, as you know, from growing up as a kid to now as here, trying to raise my children here in the city of Paris. I've seen our city grow, but our parks and rec have grown, have probably outpaced the growth of our city as well too. All the credit should go to our staff, who's doing such a phenomenal job. Here as a council, we sometimes take credit for the new parks and stuff like that. And but the staff is really the people who make all the events just a great event. So thank you to our staff. Thank you so much.
All right. Anybody else? Nobody's in the queue. Okay, thank you very much. I think we have our kids are all here now. So we're all going to come down now and issue some certificates, but I just want to get back in here to my place here. Sure.
I don't know if anyone here suffers from respiratory or COPD, but this room was just recently painted. And if anyone has that, I'm going to bring this box of masks down there in case anyone might be pregnant or is sensitive to the varnish smell. And I'm going to put them down there, so if anyone needs a mask, they'll be there when we come down. Thank you.
What are your guys' names that just came in? Ezekiel and Uriel. You guys are the ones that live in Paris? Great. Yep. Wow, you got these big belts to wear. Can I borrow one of those? Sure, both of them, all right. Okay. And then the other girls, ladies, what city are you with? Menifee? Temecula? Winchester. I want you to know, and Marietta, I want you to know, you guys that live in Paris, they all got here before you, but just saying. Who's going to Abu Dhabi? Oh my gosh, that is awesome. So the parents that are here, when it's time to take photos, don't be shy. You come right up in front. We're going to allow you to take photos. And if you want, you can be in part of the photos too once we're done with the group shot with the council. So I'm going to read off what one says, and then we'll just call the names for the rest. This first one is being presented to Uriel Cruz from Hernandez Kickboxing, may be known at the mayor and the city council. Hereby recognize and congratulate Uriel Cruz for placing first at the United States Flight League 2023 Nationals. Great job on qualifying for 2023 IMMAF Worlds again for the third time. We wish you much success in Abu Dhabi. I wrote it how it sounds. Abu Dhabi. And keep up making Paris proud of you. Come on up. Hold your belt up. Zakiel Cruz. Am I saying that right? Zakiel? Lariah Gill. Jesse Brodowski. Alyssa Campos. Ethan Barnett. Isabella Campos. We have Coach Stephanie Hernandez who couldn't make it. You are here. I'm sorry, Stephanie. Come on up. Are you the nurse?
No, that's Julio.
Oh, Julio's the nurse.
Awesome. I'm gonna have you guys stay where you are and have you guys come over. And whoever comes- Awesome. Because yes, I think over here is fine. Yeah. Just go for it. Yeah, that'd be perfect. You guys got it? All right, council, just push your way through there. Yeah, awesome. Perfect. Awesome. Yes, perfect. Alrighty, good to go, parents. Need it. Let's get it. Ready, good? Awesome. Here we go. Ready, 1, 2. Very nice. Ready, 1, 2. I'm taking out the picture as far as. Alright, parents, you need it? Thank you guys.
So just for clarification, this is mixed martial arts? Where they have the small gloves and they can kick and punch? Got it. And you guys, some of you are high school students? High school? What grade? Sophomore? What grade are you in? Junior? Freshman? Eighth grade? You're going in the eighth or going in the ninth? You're going in eighth grade? You're short like me, that's good. And you? Sophomore? It's not funny, guys. They're all taller than me. All right. Congratulations again. We're going to give a time. Don't run off because by the time I get there, you guys are gone and the council wanted to make some comments. So we're going to let the council make some comments on you guys, okay? It's getting cold. All right, council, anybody comments? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much for allowing us to celebrate you, and I look forward to having you come back next year as well, since it seems like it's going to be tradition. So keep up the great work and keep making us proud. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rogers.
A fantastic accomplishment on achieving all that you've done at such a young age. And I wish you the very best when you visit Y. Have a wonderful time and enjoy the culture and come back with a victory.
Councilman Corona.
Yeah, just want to say a big congratulations to all the youth, but a special thank you to the coach and to the parents for getting them to practice all the time and you know just encouraging them. But so thank you.
Councilman Rab, did you want to say anything?
Just congratulations to all the students and all the participants, and once again, kudos to the parents for your dedication to your children, that they do well in all their endeavors. Thank you.
So by show of hands, where are all the parents, please? So I applaud my colleagues for thanking you as well, because in all sports, it's a lot of dedication, not just for the coaches. Thank you for all the time that you put into this and your fellow colleagues, but it also takes parents to be the support behind it and bringing the kids to and from practice and what have you. I sit up many times and I take a good nap at the park while I bring my grandsons to go play soccer, you know, so I appreciate those nap times, but no. Thank you, parents, for being so involved with your youth, your students. And to the students, this is amazing. I mean, some of you 3 times already. I mean, this is awesome. So we're very proud of you. I hope Temecula, Menifee, who did I miss? Temecula, Menifee, and Winchester. I hope your communities are just as proud as you are. If not, you can just remember the mayor and the city council of Paris brought you in to recognize you, city of Paris. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys keys to the city. Alrighty. Item 7 is our Youth Advisory Committee communications. This will be given tonight by Julie Salas, our Vice President of our Youth Advisory Committee. And welcome back to our dais.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and city staff, good evening. Hello, my name is Julie Salas. It's a pleasure for me to hold the position of Vice President for YAC. I'll be providing you with an update on the most recent and forthcoming YAC events. To start, YAC recently concluded its recruitment period on July 21st. YAC received an impressive total of 25 applications from enthusiastic and talented students. These applications came from a diverse pool of high schools in the area. The next phase of the recruitment process will involve carefully reviewing each application to assess the candidate's qualifications and potential contributions to the council. Based on this evaluation, the YAC liaison team will be extending invitations to candidates for interviews. Furthermore, during its transitional phase, the Youth Advisory Committee is committed to remaining actively engaged with the community by continuing to volunteer at various city events. In addition to our volunteer efforts, YAC is thrilled to host its upcoming open mic night at the Statler Youth Center on Friday, August 4th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Free event to the youth, to the community. We hope to see you there. Finally, YAC would like to remind everyone to please follow us on social media at Paris YAC for more updates and upcoming events. For more important information on YAC or any events discussed today, feel free to dial the Statler Youth Center. YAC would like to remind everyone to remain safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments. Parents, for the kickboxers, you guys are all welcome to leave. I know your parents had a long day at work. I'm sure they're ready to go home. And Stephanie? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, of course. I should have brought you up.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let everyone know, and hopefully you guys can keep the kids in your thoughts and prayers as they are heading back to Abu Dhabi. Some of them leave this Thursday, and the rest of them leave this Sunday. So they'll be gone, and they'll be fighting from August 2nd to August 5th, and they'll be returning on August 7th. So if you guys could just cheer them on and send them some positive thoughts, we would appreciate it. And then if you want to keep up on our page, I will post a link in case any of you guys want to be able to watch their fights.
Yes.
There is an 11-hour time difference, so we'll be up late watching. But thank you so much for having us.
You email that to me, please. And then, and as a treat for you guys, when you come back, you guys start school. Good timing. All right, congratulations again, guys, and you're free to go. Totally forgot about them. All right, item A is our public comment. This is a time when any member of the community may bring up a matter to the attention to the mayor and the city council that is within our jurisdiction but is not on our agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Bill Lamb?
Come on up, Mr. Lamb, you get 3 minutes. No, it's been a long time.
Good evening, Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council. Tonight, I am speaking as representing the museum. I wish to thank the mayor and the members of the council for supporting the recent grant to the city to assist the museum in connecting to the city of Paris and in rehabbing our track on to continue safe operation. We plan on working with your staff going forward to implement the grant. We have been working on this for 4 years. We have had professional engineers who are members of the museum working part-time. The plans are almost ready to submit. They will then be reviewed by the City of Paris, the Riverside County Transportation Commission, Metrolink, and the BNSF Railroad. They will provide comments and we will make changes. Then we will submit the plans to the same 4 organizations for approval. We are fairly confident that things will be going forward so that we ordered the first piece of track equipment in October, which is a switch matching the switch that's in place now. And it's supposed to be delivered next month. So we look forward to working with you and working with your staff over the next several years of this project. Getting on to events, in August 19th, we will have our first Hot August Night event, which is a car show with food trucks, a beer garden, people coming in. I have been asked to invite all of you to attend. It should be an interesting event. And we're looking forward to it. The next major event is Paris Appreciation Day in September 16th. It's to thank the citizens of Paris for the support that they have shown to the museum over the years and provide an opportunity for them to appreciate the museum where there's no charge. So thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you, Bill.
Daryl Rawlings.
Come on down, Mr. Rollins, you got 3 minutes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor,
Can you,
council members.
sir, can you speak
staff.
up to the microphone?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and staff. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Daryl Rawlings, and I've been a resident in Riverside County for about 20 years now. I really come here to present a kind of a complaint with one of the businesses in your city. I sent out emails too, and the emails were pretty much I was kind of upset and everything, so you got to excuse the I guess the articulate speech in that letter, in that email. But since, I have so much time and stuff like that, I won't be able to go over all my information I have here, and I will not publicize the business as well. But you know my name, you know the issue I had. I will send out another email as well, just to kind of go over the events that took place that day, so that you are fully aware, because the email that I sent out was pretty much kind of out there, because I was just trying to snip and paste and cut from different areas that I had drew up a complaint. So definitely, I just want to inform you that this company here, through my research on the internet, the many complaints they have against it, it seems like they have not only the residents in Paris, California, under siege, but also your neighboring cities as well. Definitely, I'm a minister. Thank you for the prayer, sir. I take what I say very, to heart. I don't like to, I'm a business owner as well, so I don't like to tell any or complain anything to that degree, because I don't want to get complained against either. But if it's meaningful and it's truthful, then I'm going to accept it, and hopefully this company also will be taking accountability for my complaint as well. And I understand that I'm not asking for you to go out and make an arrest or anything like that. I know there's certain procedures I got to go through to get this taken care of, but I just wanted to be heard today, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
Jerry Sepulveda.
I also suffer from height challenge.
I
All right, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City staff, I just want to officially introduce myself. I'm Jerry Sepulveda. I'm the new president of the Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce, so I just want to officially say hello. I know we have a lot of familiar faces. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. A lot of familiar faces. Just to give a little background, I started off as a member, grew in the ranks of ambassador, then became a secretary of the board, chairman, and now president. So I'm very proud to be where I'm at with the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to be very much more involved in the city, in the meetings. We want to make sure we give announcements to you guys. Being a resident for over 30 years here, growing up in Paris, half the time next to Malcolm. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but Malcolm's up there, so I think it's a good thing. But some announcements I wanted to give out was our Business After 5 mixer is going to be coming up on August 31st. It's going to be at the bomb shelter. This is going to be a pretty big mixer. We want to welcome everybody to go. It's going to be with our surrounding Chamber of Commerces. So we are reaching out. We're growing as a chamber, our membership, and now other chambers want to participate with us, which is a big deal, which also reflects onto the city. And our main things, I just want you to know what I want to focus on this year as president is advocacy, education, and of course our tourism, because I think we have so many great locations here at destinations here in Paris. So we're going to be focused on highlighting those and being a voice for our businesses and our community. And then our last announcement is our 111th annual award and installation ceremony. So that's 111 year, annual. So that says a big deal. We're going to be going to Saboba Golf Resort. Everyone is invited. Mayor's already locked that date in. We made sure of it. We want to make sure everyone else knows about that date so you guys are able to attend. And then the last thing I want to say is, Sabrina, that was a great video. Great job on everything that you're doing with our parks. And I know Hernandez Kickboxing left, but that was awesome hearing that they're already traveling to other countries and other great. So that was great and great representation for Paris. But I just wanted to officially say hello and look forward to working with everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Confirming the mixer's the 31st? Yes. Thank you. What awards?
Daniel
Date of the
Melendres.
awards, the date of the award. What's the date of your awards? August 18th. Okay. I'm sorry, this is Daniel.
Melendres.
Go ahead, sir.
And I'm here to complain about you guys for fixing the road on the community on Triple Crown between Orange and Via Placentia. The paper says that it's supposed to be removal. It says, this construction shall include the removal and replacement of the existing asphalt. And it was not. I've been living there since 2001, and I talked to the neighbor that's been there 35 years when the houses were built in 88. You guys haven't done nothing to the community. In 2016, you guys put that slurry oil on top of it. In a year, it was gone. The cracks came back. What they did this time, they put the slurry on top of it again, but it was not replaced. I don't know how long you guys been as council members, how many years, but that community needs to be fixed the proper way. And we have a stop sign, and the only person that reached to me was Maricela. None of you guys reached to me, about my complaint, And I'm so glad she reached me, because maybe she cares. I don't know about you guys, if you guys care or not, okay? But my thing is this, we need speed bumps. We have a stop sign there. They keep running the stop sign. I stopped a police officer. You know what he told me? Oh, go and complain with the city. But some of the police officers, they parked right down the mobile home next to between Via Placentia and Ryder for an hour giving tickets when you actually need them where there's a stop sign or people running red lights on Gallon Fox. There are always crashes there. Always people crashing. And the thing is we need speed bumps there because we get in all the traffic from Triple Crown and Orange just to go to Jack in the Box in the gym. Instead of making a right on Orange, they want to skip 2 lights, 3 lights. You just go around the neighborhood and speed up 65, 60 miles per hour. And there's kids playing out there. I got grandkids, granddaughters, and it's not safety. It's a safety issue that later on in years, hopefully nothing happens, you guys don't get a lawsuit because of that. And that's all I have to say.
Can you please confirm the street you're talking about that didn't get repaved?
Bold Venture Street.
What is it?
Bold Venture Street, and I live on 175 Bold Venture Street. And I've been living since 2001. And all my neighbors are mad, pissed off, whatever, the situation it is.
We'll follow up with staff, and I don't know about I have not received any emails from you, so I don't know.
I send.
Have her send it to us, because we didn't
She
get
sent me an email.
She sent you an email.
Yes, and I send, she actually called me.
Okay, but were we on that email?
I sent the engineer an email, and I sent, I actually called the city They gave me his information and all that.
Okay, well, the four of us, I don't think got it, so we'll have hers forwarded to us, okay? We'll get it.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. It could all still be tagged in.
That is all.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else in anybody else in the audience wishing to speak on any item that's not on the agenda? All right, we're gonna move on. Item 9 is our approval of minutes. 9A is the consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on June 13, 2023 of the City Council and all the other agencies that are listed on our agenda. If there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion by Councilman Corona, second by Councilwoman Rogers. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. 9B is consideration to approve the minutes of the special joint meeting held on June 26, 2023, the City Council and all the other agencies as listed on our agenda. If there are no other comments or questions, I entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Mayor Pro Tem Nava. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 10 is our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or the city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We will have public comment, which will be limited to 3 minutes. Council, anybody have anything they want to pull for further discussion or separate vote?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull item 10K for comments.
10K. Okay,
And I'd like to pull 10A as an alpha for separate vote.
10A. Anybody else? All right, so I'm looking for a motion for 10B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J. After I call for public comment. Nobody else has anything? All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak on the consent calendar only at this time? All right, hearing and seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Nava, second by Councilman Rab. Please call a vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Let's just go in order. So we'll take 10A. Council, not Mayor Pro Tem, you just wanted a separate vote, no discussion?
That's correct.
All right, if nobody else has any questions, I'll entertain a motion for 10A only. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
Rab, Rogers, Vargas, yes. Corona, Nava, no.
Thank you. Okay, I think that was 10K. Councilwoman Rogers.
Yes, item 10K is our check registers for the month of May and June. And I'd like to ask staff to please look at 4 checks written to Interwest Engineering Services. The dates of the checks are May 4th, May 10th, May 31st, and June 14th. And review upon those checks, I have some definite concerns. So I'd like to have staff look at those checks, see if adjustments need to be made and to follow through. And also to make sure that our contract person, Habib Matlaw, also gets a chance to review that. And I just want to make sure that everything that's being paid is correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need a motion to pull that?
The council can do a motion to approve item K with direction to staff as stated by Councilmember Rogers.
Yes, I just wanted to pull that to staff's attention to see if any adjustments need to
So
be made.
we're going to vote on something that we're waiting for an adjustment?
Mayor, good evening. You can vote on the item tonight, and if there's any adjustments, we would make them at the next check register as necessary.
All right. I'd rather pull it all together, but that's, if you're saying it's okay.
Well, the payments have already been issued, so we have to do credits.
All righty then. I'll entertain a motion to approve 10K and come back with some, are you going to do that back at the regular meeting or just in a weekly report?
It would be internal staff.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have a motion by Councilman Corona, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Nava. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, moving on, item 11 is our public hearings. 11A is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order, approving the annual engineer's report for Maintenance District number 84-1, MD 84-1, and confirming the assessments for fiscal year 2023 and 2024. And this will be introduced by our interim city engineer, John Porcozimi.
Good evening, Mayor Vargas, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. Dulce Diaz with Wilden will present this project for you.
Thank you. Good evening, Dulce.
Good evening. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members and city staff. I will be presenting, my presentation will take care of items 11A, 11B, and 11C. Tonight's proceedings are being held to obtain approval for the levy for fiscal year 2023-24 assessments. These proceedings are required to continue to provide maintenance work under the city's 3 maintenance districts and collect assessments on the property tax bills. The proposed assessments total approximately $973,000 under Street Line Maintenance District number 84-1, $3.93 million under Landscape Maintenance District 1, and $2.75 million under Flood Control Maintenance District number 1. Maintenance District 84-1 provides funding for the electricity and the maintenance of street lights and traffic signals. This year, funding provides for 4,763 street lights and 74 traffic signals. Due to increased maintenance costs, a 2.16 increase is recommended. The proposed rate for the assessment is $47.28 per benefit unit, which is $1 additional from the previous year. Landscape Maintenance District 1 provides funding for maintenance and public landscaping that specifically benefits each of the 161 benefit zones. Flood Control Maintenance District 1 provides funding for the maintenance of public flood control facilities and interior residential streets and specially benefit each of the 123 benefit zones. None of the zones exceed the maximum authorized rates approved by the property owners at the time of the annexation. The next action for all 3 items is for the public hearings for each district to be opened for public comment. After the close of each public hearing, staff is recommending the City Council adopt the resolution giving final approval for the 3 engineers' reports and authorizing the collection of the assessments on the Riverside County tax roll. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Council, anybody have any quick questions for clarification before I open up the public hearing? All right, we're going to open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, that's 7:19. We're opening at 7:19. Do you have any comments or requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this particular item? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close the public comment or the public hearing at 7:19, and I'll call for a motion on the resolution. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. 11B is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order, approving the annual engineer's report for Landscape Maintenance District number 1, LAMD 1, and confirming the assessments for fiscal year 2023 through 2024. This will be introduced by our interim city engineer, John Porcozimi.
Mr. Mayor, actually, I think, did you want to present that? Because I think we addressed But you probably want to take a vote on each item.
Yeah, we would just request for staff to reference the presentation I previously gave. Thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
All right. Council, anybody have any comments?
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, the public hearing was opened for this item?
I'm going to open it right now. I'm going to open up the public hearing at, you guys are changing all these things on me here, 7:21. Anybody wants to speak on this item? And we have none, so we're going to close it at 7:21. All right. I'll call for a motion on this item. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, and you're taking on C as well?
That's right, Mayor Vargas.
All right,
We
so
can
let me at least
proceed
read
with
it. This is consider to adopt proposed resolution number next in order, approving the annual engineer's report for flood control maintenance district number 1. Did I just read that one?
C.
It's the same
No,
bit.
you didn't read that one.
Yeah. Flood control maintenance district number 1, FCMD 1, and confirming the assessments for fiscal year 2023 through 2024. And all the info pertains to is what you just described for the other two.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right,
please.
so I'm going to open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Okay, hearing none, we're going to close the public hearing. I'll call for a motion on the resolution. I have a motion by Councilman Rabb, second by Councilwoman Rogers. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Huh? It wasn't, mine wasn't working. Okay, 11D is consideration to adopt the second reading of proposed ordinance number 1428, authorizing the amendment to the contract between the Board of Administrative California Public Employees Retirement System and the City of Paris. Second reading of proposal ordinance number next in order is entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Paris, County of Riverside, State of California, authorizing an amendment to the contract between the City Council of the City of Paris and the Board of Administration, California Public Employees Retirement System. This will be introduced by our Administrative Services Director, Ms. Saida Morskar.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of City Council, Honorable Mayor, this item will be presented by Ms. Michelle Clay, the city's Human Resources and Risk Manager.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. On June 13th, I introduced the first reading of the ordinance authorizing the amendment to the contract with California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS. I am here this evening to present the second reading to adopt the ordinance number 1428 authorizing the contract amendment with CalPERS. The ordinance will allow for the contract amendment to remove the park ambassador classification from the previous contract exclusion and assign the park ambassador as a full-time benefited position. Staff respectfully recommends that City Council approve the second reading of the ordinance. This concludes my report, and I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Council, anybody have any quick questions? Seeing none in the queue, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:24. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this matter? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:24. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for a motion on the second reading of the ordinance. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Mayor Pro Tem Nava. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. 11E is consideration to adopt proposed resolution numbers next in order and introduce the first reading of the proposed ordinance number next in order, forming a CFD 2022-2 Paris Logistics Center. CFD 2022-2 is intended to be developed into Paris North and Paris South. Paris North is located to the north of Alice Avenue and east of Redlands Avenue. Paris South is located south of Mapes Road and east of South A Street. This is going to be introduced by our Director of Finance, Mr. Matthew Schenk.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. For this item, we'll be having Jim Fabian from Fieldman, Rowlap, and Associates presenting.
Thank you, Matt. Mayor, members of the City Council, Jim Fabian, Fieldman, Rowlap, and Associates, Municipal Advisor to the City. Tonight, we have a public hearing related to CFD 2022-2, Paris Logistics Center, and we're going to walk through a short presentation and go through the process of the public hearing. So on the slide, we have a graphic presentation of the location of the two portions of the logistics center, broken out into the north and the south. As the mayor mentioned, the locations of each of the parcels that are located within the CFD 2022-2. The plan is for 6 industrial buildings to be built, approximately 6 million square feet of warehouse buildings will be constructed by the developer in the 2 locations shown on the map. Home Depot is a tenant of the first building at Paris North. The property in this CFD is owned by 3 entities, IDIL Paris North 3, LP, IDIL Paris Logistics North, LP, and IDIL Paris Fulfillment Center, LP. Those 3 entities will have submitted ballots to the city clerk, who will open them at the appropriate time in the public hearing. This is just another graphic to show the type of buildings that will be built at Paris North and a layout of that particular parcel. Should note that the green area that's surrounded by red is not included in the boundaries of the CFD. And this is a rendering of Paris South. As I mentioned, 3 buildings are planned for the Paris South part of the CFD, and this is a rendering of those buildings. On May 30th, we came in front of the City Council for approval of the resolutions of intention. At that time, we set the date and the time of this public hearing, and we approved the authorization of the levy of the special tax, and then also approved the authorization of issuance of debt of approximately $25 million at that meeting. A little bit of detail related to the CFD. The special tax that is levied on the property within the boundaries of the CFD is a per acre charge of $4,400 per acre. It's not based upon the building square footage. On July 1 each year, it will be raised by 2% per year under the rate and method of apportionment. We went through a lot of due diligence on this property. We went to the Ways and Means Committee a couple times to bring this project to them, to look at it in the context of the city's adopted goals and policies for Community Facilities District. This is a little bit different than what we typically have brought in front of the council for consideration, because it's a commercial or industrial warehouse project. Up to this point, we've done solely residential projects, so this is a little bit different. It required more, I would say, due diligence on the part of the staff, the consultant team, to make sure that we thought about everything involved with the creation of a CFD for industrial project. The length of the term of the special tax is 50 years, and I know that's brought up some questions in the past, but the intent of the bond issue term would be for 30 years, and that's what we've done on every CFD so far for the city of Paris. If there was a delay for whatever reason in implementation of the project, there's always a buffer given to allow for some additional time if necessary for the CFD. And so that's why the term of the CFD is longer than the proposed term of the bonds. As I mentioned tonight, we will be conducting a public hearing. We have specific resolutions that will be adopted after your consideration, and then the first reading of the ordinance that would establish the CFD and then authorize the levying of the special tax and then allow for the occurrence of bonded indebtedness in the future. So tonight, in front of you, we have two resolutions first that will be for your consideration. And the first resolution is setting the appropriation limit and then also the levying of the special tax. The second resolution is to confirm the amount of the indebtedness of $25 million. After your consideration of these two resolutions, we will call for the election, and the city clerk would open the ballots at that time and then read the results of the ballots that were submitted by the three property owners. If there is a positive result, then we would go into the next phase of the proceedings, which would be two additional resolutions and the first reading of the ordinance. And then those resolutions would declare the results of the special election from the ballots that were opened. And then it would also approve the acquisition and funding agreement. This agreement lays out what will be built by the developer, how that will be submitted to the city for reimbursement. And this is all city infrastructure that will be owned by the city of Paris and maintained by the city of Paris once it is accepted by the city of Paris. The bond proceeds would be then used to reimburse the developer for this infrastructure that is built by them. And then there would be the first reading of the ordinance of the special tax. The next steps would be then on August 29th to come back in front of the City Council for adoption of the second reading of the ordinance. After that, 30 days later, the special tax ordinance becomes effective. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have and then turn it over to the mayor for the public hearing.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no quick comments or questions for clarification, I'm going to open up the public hearing.
Thank you.
7:33 for the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this item? All right, hearing and seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:33. And I'll call for a motion on the first and second resolutions. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Mayor Pro Tem Nava. Madam Clerk, can you please open the three ballots?
We got to vote first.
Oh. You call for a vote, please. Stay heat.
Your turn, Malcolm. You didn't do it?
5-0, motion approved.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, can you now call or open the ballots, please?
This time she's looking at you.
Community Facilities, District Number 2022-2, Paris Logistics Center of the City of Paris, special bond, special taxes, and appropriations limit election. The ballot is marked yes. Community Facilities, District Number 2022-2, Paris Logistics Center of the City of Paris, special bonds, special taxes, and appropriations limit election. The ballot is marked yes. Community Facilities District Number 2022-2, Paris Logistics Center of the City of Paris, special bonds, special taxes, and appropriations limit election. The ballot is marked yes.
Very good, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll call for a motion on the third and fourth resolutions and the first reading of the ordinance. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, 11F is consideration to introduce the first reading of the proposed ordinance amendment number next in order to amend Chapter 7.50 of the Paris Municipal Code requiring commercial establishments with groceries larger than 2,500 square feet to provide healthy food and beverage items as the default option at checkout aisles. This is going to be introduced by our Director of Community Services, Ms. Sabrina Chavez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Recreation Services Manager will be presenting this item before you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City staff. I am here tonight to present to you the Healthy Options at Checkout Ordinance Amendment. The Healthy Options at Checkout campaign was first introduced to the city in 2021 by public health advocates. And on February 14th, the city adopted the ordinance into effect on July 1st. The ordinance requires Paris commercial establishments with groceries larger than 2,500 square feet to provide healthy food and beverage items as the default options at checkout aisles. The ordinance puts healthier options at the forefront and aligns with our city's Live Well Paris initiative, our Healthy Eating and Active Living resolution to promote wellness and healthier lifestyles, and our general plan's healthy community element, with one of the goals to promote citywide health through healthy food outlets. Following the ordinance adoption, staff hosted 2 workshops on March 23rd and May 11th to review the implementation process. All businesses meeting the criteria of the ordinance were invited to attend. As a result, we heard from local grocers and their representatives seeking clarification, and we received requested amendments from California Grocers Association, which we will go over during tonight's presentation. Lastly, it is important to note that this ordinance does not prohibit its store's ability to sell or consumers' ability to purchase food or beverages that fall outside the ordinance requirements. The adopted ordinance currently has the following food and beverage requirements you see before you. That includes water, coffee, and tea with no added caloric sweeteners, fat-free and low-fat milk, 100% fruit and vegetable juice in 12-ounce containers, and low-calorie beverages not exceeding 40 calories. Food items include those per package not exceeding more than 200 calories, no more than 7 grams from fat, no more than 2 grams from saturated fat, 0 grams trans fat, no more than 10 grams of total sugars, with the exception of fruits and vegetables, no more than 200 milligrams, and must be in the following categories, including sugar-free gum, fruit, low-fat dairy, nuts or seeds, whole grains, or contain 10% of the daily value of the nutrients. During the outreach led by Public Health Advocates and Love for Life, a local organization, parent workshops were held where residents were given the option to follow the standards as seen in the City of Berkeley or the standards seen before you, which also follows the National Alliance Healthy Vending Standards and the USDA National School Lunch Nutrition Standards for all schools sold in schools as required by the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act. And the parents selected to proceed with the standards seen before you tonight on your screen and as adopted. The adopted ordinance requires the aforementioned food and beverage requirements to be made at the checkout area. And the checkout area is defined as a 6-foot distance from the register and an area where customers wait to pay, also known as a waiting area. The waiting area is seen as orange on the diagram and can extend past the 6 feet, which can go past the end cap and onto the aisles. This was originally proposed as social distancing was required during the COVID-19 pandemic. The ordinance applies to 15 stores in Paris. Of the 15, 6 attended the workshops, including Cárdenas, Food for Less, Stater Bros Markets, Winco Foods, La Favorita Market, and Walmart Supercenter. Additionally, representatives of stores also attended, including California Grocers Association. As of today, Winco Foods made the changes to their checkout aisles with the adopted ordinance, and La Favorita and Winco both submitted their self-certification forms. Many stores did inquire about the effective date, but due to today's meeting and the proposed updates, they were advised to wait on submitting their forms. As mentioned, California Grocers Association submitted 3 letters requesting amendments to the adopted ordinance, and staff met with them 3 times. Additionally, staff met with Center for Science in the Public Interest, an organization who led the efforts of the Healthy Options at Checkout campaign at City of Berkeley and currently leading them throughout California. Additionally, staff also met with public health advocates, and both organizations were in support of the proposed recommendations as they still align with the Healthy Options at Checkout campaign. Before you are the set of 10 requests received by California Grocers Association. Before I review them, those with the green check mark mean that staff is proposing to agree to the recommendations. Those with the yellow dash mean that staff is recommending a change to that specific area, but not that specific request. Those with the red X mark mean that staff does not recommend the proposed amendment, and I will further be explaining those with yellow and red marks in the upcoming slides. Of the 10 requests, staff agreed to 6 requests. These proposed amendments would make it easier and provide more flexibility to businesses in implementing the ordinance. And the requests are as follows. The first set of requests were received on March 22nd, and staff is recommending to revise and remove the total fat and saturated fat requirements. The second request proposes to simplify the food group requirements and base the measurements on the first ingredient as identified in the food category, as follows. Sugar-free gum, fruits or vegetables, nuts or seeds, whole grains, or low-fat and fat-free dairy. Additionally, staff is proposing to add mints and legumes. It is recommended to proceed with this change as requested. The third request asks for a new implementation date of at least 12 months from adoption. Staff is proposing to proceed with the change with the new implementation date of August 2024. The fourth request proposes removing total fat limits, and we are recommending to proceed with this request. We will review the fifth request in further detail in the upcoming slides. And the second set of requests were received on May 24th. And the sixth request asked to adjust the fruit and vegetable sizes from 12 ounces to 20 ounces. And we agreed to recommend this request. Request 7, 8, and 9, staff is recommending no change. And we will go into further detail in the upcoming slides. And the last set of comments were received on July 11th, and the 10th request that we are recommending is to remove the ordinance requirements for checkout counters located outside of the primary checkout area, typically found at the front of the store. Staff is recommending to proceed with adding language to the ordinance amendment to exclude those additional checkout areas from the requirements typically found at bakeries, delis, electronics section, or a garden outdoor area. The fifth request received was proposing to change the checkout area from a 6-foot distance to a 3-foot distance as seen with City of Berkeley requirements. It is important to note that Berkeley's requirements also include a waiting area alongside the 3-foot requirement. Staff is recommending to remove the waiting area and add clear language defining the 6-foot distance radius, as removing the waiting area would cause less confusion and remove the ambiguity of the waiting area parameters for grocers. The diagram before you shows a proposed 6-foot radius distance without the waiting area. Here are some sample photos of a standard checkout area. If we look at the photo on the left, the green box outlines the register location. The pink line defines a 6-foot distance from the register, and as you can see, it is about the size of the conveyor belt. And the area outlined in purple shows the area that would be required by the ordinance. The photo on the right shows an estimated 6-foot radius. These photos showcase a typical checkout area with the updated 6-foot radius, and without the waiting area. As you can see in the images, it would not affect the beverage coolers over the end caps in this specific scenario. And consumers would still have the choice between food items following the ordinance and those that fall outside of the ordinance requirements. The 7th request asks the checkout areas to be in 50% compliance with the food and beverage requirements within the 3-foot radius request. Staff is recommending no change to this area and to remain at 100% compliance in following the standards as currently adopted in the ordinance. Furthermore, the 50% compliance does not align with our city goal to promote healthier options to our residents, nor does it align with the Healthy Options at Checkout campaign. Additionally, we are proposing to remove the waiting area and only keep it to a 6-foot distance. And lastly, it would cause further complication trying to enforce 50% of the items. The 8th request is proposing the ordinance to apply to all food retailers, such as mini marts, not just those with groceries. Staff is recommending no change to the current ordinance and to the applicability to the types of commercial establishments. The current ordinance requires commercial establishments with groceries larger than 2,500 square feet. Additionally, over 60% of households utilize supermarkets as a primary source of food purchases. When looking at supermarkets, 91% of supermarkets tend to have candy at the checkout aisle, and 85% are more likely to carry sugar-sweetened beverages such as soda, in comparison to other food retail establishments. Furthermore, other food retail stores are more likely to have fruits and vegetables at their checkout area in comparison to 6% of supermarkets. Lastly, the CDC has stated that sugar-sweetened beverages are the leading source of added sugars in the U.S. diet, and the USDA has identified that as the #1 source of added sugars in children. And as you may know, added sugars are associated with health adverse effects, including obesity and type 2 diabetes. Therefore, staff is recommending to have the ordinance to remain as is and only apply to commercial establishments with groceries larger than 2,500 square feet. The 9th request is proposing to adjust the standards from per package to per serving. Staff is recommending no change to this amendment. As first, during the outreach conducted by public health advocates and Love for Life, residents selected the per package requirements. Additionally, the per package requirements follows the healthy vending standards and USDA service standards for all foods sold in schools. Additionally, these would also allow for healthier food items such as vegetable chips, pistachios, and fresh fruit to be in the checkout aisles. The per serving change would allow for unhealthier items to qualify under the requirements, such as family-sized chips. And lastly, staff is proposing to add additional language that clearly exempt fruits and vegetables from the food requirement to avoid any further confusion. Next, I would like to introduce Karen Gardner, Senior Policy Associate for Healthy Retail from Center for the Science in the Public Interest, who did travel from the East Coast to be with us here today, and she will speak on the campaign efforts.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City staff for having me. As Crystal said, I'm Karen Gardner. I'm here from the Center for Science in the Public Interest. And I want to voice my strong support for the individuals, families, and organizations across the city of Paris who advocated for the healthy checkout options policy. In responding to your community and passing this policy, Paris is a leader in public health policy. Communities in Oakland, Richmond, and Contra Costa County are all campaigning for a similar policy, and the city councils and county board of supervisors in these communities are looking to Paris's policy as a model for their own. I'd like to address a few questions about the healthy options at checkout policy. First, is it overly restrictive? It is not. The ordinance does not prohibit stores from selling any product, as Crystal mentioned, only what they can slot in the checkout aisle. There are many healthy products from the same companies that can replace restricted products in the checkout aisle. For instance, Coca-Cola sells both Coke with 15.5 teaspoons of added sugar and Minute Maid juice with no added sugar at the same price point. Mars sells both Milky Way candy bars with 8 teaspoons of added sugar and Kind bars, which have only 1 teaspoon of added sugar, again at the same price point. Is this policy impeding consumer choice? It is not. It is not that we as shoppers aren't capable of making healthy choices in the grocery store. It's that in many cases we are being pushed towards unhealthy options just by where products are placed. As a mother of 2 children, I can agree with this and say from my own experience this is true. This sabotages our own efforts to eat healthier and feed our families healthier. Consumers in Paris advocated for this policy. Asking for healthy options at checkout is the choice that Paris residents are making and asking for. Why grocery stores? Simply because almost 2/3 of American food comes from large grocery stores. Therefore, policies primarily focused on the largest food retailers, where Americans do the most shopping, has the greatest potential impact on public health. Regarding the amendments presented today, I would like to express my strong support. Our organization has worked closely with city staff as it reviewed the comments from the California Grocers Association and developed a comprehensive set of recommendations that both address the concerns of grocers and stay true to the intent of the Healthy Checkout campaign and policy. The City of Paris staff has agreed to and recommended a majority of the changes requested by CGA. CSPI also supports the city staff's recommendation to not move forward with the requests that go against the goal of the Healthy Options at Checkout ordinance, the goal being to make healthy choices easier for Paris residents. We know that the current checkout environment features disproportionately unhealthy products. A recent evaluation of checkout areas across a variety of retailers, for example, supermarkets, dollar stores, drugstores, found 70% of items at checkout did not meet the healthy food and beverage criteria, a similar healthy food and beverage criteria as outlined in Paris's ordinance. We also know that healthy product placement in prominent places across the store, like checkouts, increases the sales of those products. However, because of the pervasiveness of unhealthy products throughout prominent places in the store, we see that smaller changes in healthy product placement do not increase customer purchases in healthy food groups. It's critical to maintain the current rigor of the healthy checkout that Paris residents advocated for in order to make healthy choices available, accessible, and easy at checkout. Grocery stores are a vital part of our communities and have a responsibility to the people that shop there every day. We are confident that the recommendations provided by the City of Paris staff address the concerns raised by CGA while aligning with the Healthy Options at Checkout campaign and ordinance goals. Thank you so much for your time today.
Lastly, staff received a total of 8 letters regarding the ordinance. 3 are placed before you in the staff report, and 5 additional letters were received yesterday and today, 3 in opposition and 2 in support of the ordinance. At this time, staff recommends that the City Council conduct a public hearing and after receiving public testimony, consider the introduction of the first reading of ordinance number next in order to amend Chapter 7.50 of the Paris Municipal Code, requiring commercial establishments with groceries larger than 2,500 square feet to provide healthy food and beverage items as a default option at checkout aisles. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. All right, I'm sure we're going to have some questions. So I'm going to open up the public hearing, allow for public comment, and then we'll return back for discussion. Pardon me? Well, I only asked for a quick question for clarification.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, one for clarification?
Yes. And if we fail to pass these amendments today, will it revert back to the original ordinance that was passed back in, I think, February or March?
That's correct.
Okay, and then in terms of the original ordinance in March or February, we received letters after it was passed from several grocers indicating that they didn't receive notice. And in February, no one came from the Grocers Association. What was the process of contacting those grocers prior to the February meeting?
So prior to the February meeting, public health advocates and the Boys and Girls Club conducted a majority of the outreach to local businesses. And August 1st of last year, the city partnered with public health advocates and we hosted a business workshop here in this building, in person and virtual. And we sent out 2 notices to all businesses who met the criteria and they did not show up. We did receive 1 inquiry from Stater Brothers asking when the proposed ordinance would take effect.
Okay, and when did we receive the inquiry from Stater Brothers regarding that?
That day.
Okay, and that was back in August of 2022, or around
Yes.
that time? Okay, and we didn't hear anything from them till after it passed in February of 2023, or?
No.
Okay, and regarding the 200-calorie limit, what was the impetus to make it 200 calories rather than going to maybe 250 or 300?
So those are standard food requirements that are set by the National Alliance Healthy Vending Standards and as well as the USDA food standards. And so those were already preset and those were presented to the residents.
Okay, and regarding the sweetened or the low-calorie drinks, does that include drinks that contain aspartame?
It would be drinks that have no added caloric sweeteners.
So no added, in
No.
terms of aspartame, that wouldn't be included in this?
That would not be included.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for quick clarifications? All right, we're going to open up the public hearing at 7:56. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Steve Astorga?
Got some props, sorry, Mayor. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Steven Astorga. I'm proud to be the manager of the Stater Brothers Markets in the city of Paris and Nuevo Road. Stater Brothers served and supported this community with multiple stores for over 48 years. Personally, I grew up in and graduated at the Paris High School. I'm proud to say that my store provides excellent union jobs for 110 members, including 71 of my teammates who live in your wonderful city. My team is very proud of our store. We offer exceptional, personal, actual human customer service. We do not have any self-checkouts. We value human interaction. We also very proud of the selection of healthy food choice we offer in every one of our departments in our store, even in the checkout area, the area of discussion tonight. We currently stock 179 healthy items, 44% of the total. Despite being the leader in the community for offering healthy options across our store, healthy checkout ordinance, the city approved, still penalizes us. Let me explain. Under this poorly written ordinance, I will eliminate 273 items from my check stand area, which is about 2/3 of my entire variety. All my top-selling items must be eliminated. In fact, I even have to eliminate 48 items normally classified as healthy. For example, a small package of cashews, 2¼ ounces in total, but not allowed under the ordinance. A few cashews seems a lot healthier than a Snickers bar, but not allowed. In the bags, an additional 47 items normally classified as healthy, but will also be eliminated. We have been studying the net effect of eliminating 273 items from the checkout area for months. Conservatively estimate loss of 400,000 sales in annual sales. Simple logic would say that eliminating 2/3 of your item selection, including your top sellers, is going to reduce sales. However, the human impact is far more my concern. The hours that I schedule in my store are based just off of sales volume, and that will equivalent to about 36 hours per week. Essentially, I'd have to lay off a full-time employee. That just breaks my heart. Question to the city council is, does reducing my workforce help the community? Will citizens of the Paris suddenly become healthier at the expense of one of my teammates' job? I'm all for healthy options. As I've explained, we have them now. I'm literally begging you guys tonight to please put this well-intended program, but poorly written, on hold. Please work with our company, other groceries in the city, the California Grocers Association, to craft amendments that will modify the approved ordinance in ways that we will enable the city to achieve their goal while protecting my workers. I know it will make them time to work with, but for the sake of my teammates and others in the community, it can be done. And I just brought a few items that would not qualify under this thing. It's about a list of 48 items that we currently have that are considered healthy.
All right, thank you, sir.
We get that list.
What's that? You want to pass that list out to the council? No, the list. No, sir, we'll go outside, please. Hang on, Steve, we got a quick question for you.
Were you able to attend any of the meetings that we had with the mayor and staff?
We did attend the two that were at the workshops here? Yes.
Okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, for clarification. Well, I talked to I guess the CEO of Stater Brothers. He was mentioning their top 5 sellers. Are you familiar with what the top sellers would be in the checkout stand area?
In the check stand areas?
Yeah.
It's going to be some of our sodas, beverages, cooler beverages, and then also some of these healthier snack items and candy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, who's,
One quick question, I'm sorry, for
hold
clarification.
on, Steve.
Do you happen to have a percentage of how many of your options are healthy in your checkout?
Yeah, it's about 44% of the total that we have at the check stand area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not moving this time.
You're done now. Madam Clerk, do you have anybody else?
Tim James.
Council members, thank you very much. Tim James, California Grocers Association. Grocers have always genuinely supported healthy communities, and we continue to offer our partnership to support the city in promoting healthy choices. Unfortunately, this ordinance and the proposed amendments do little to improve health and negatively impact grocers, as you've just heard. The proposed amendments avoid all of the substantive amendments that would avoid impacts to grocers. The ordinance standards for healthy are confusing, contradictory, and eliminate many healthy options. Under this ordinance with the proposed amendments, a small sleeve of whole almonds, 1.5 ounces, which the only ingredient is almonds, is not allowed. The ordinance standards have little relation to real-world products, and this is very concerning for us and our consumers. But let me switch to the scope of this ordinance. This is also very troubling. This ordinance only impacts 15 of 74 stores, according to Public Health Advocates' own toolkit with data received from the city. 15 of 74 stores. That means 80% of food retailers offering products at checkout in Paris are unregulated. Only 20% of Paris food retailers, just the grocery stores, just the full-service grocery stores, who all offer fresh fruit and vegetables, and tens of thousands of healthy products remain regulated. What this means in the city of Paris, if you stand at the corner of Paris High School at Paris Nuevo, across the street are 2 national chain convenience stores and a national chain pharmacy. They remain untouched and can sell any item anywhere without offering any other healthy products. Behind those stores in the exact same parking lots are 2 full-service grocers that would be regulated and, as you just heard, would experience a significant sales loss. We also take some concern with this concept that somehow these small convenience stores may have a fruit item at the checkout, and then therefore that makes them somehow healthier than a full-service grocery store, which is your primary health food source. With all of these impacts just on grocers, it's hard to see this as not a targeted attack and a threat to our sustainability. All other food retailers are ignored except grocers. This ordinance needs significant and substantive amendments that we have brought forward, or if not made, it should be rescinded to avoid the negative impacts to grocers. Please take the time to get this right. Listen to your part.
Thank you, Mr. James. Okay, this is only for clarification. Is that what you have? Hang on for,
Thank you, Mr. James. I know we've been in communication. On March 22nd, you sent a letter via email to me, and you said, as you know, neither CGA, our members in the parish, nor other local impacted businesses were in attendance at the community workshop prior to adoption. This is primarily due to inadequate outreach from the third party utilized by public health advocates in the city. The lack of appropriate and formal outreach prevented grocery companies from being informed of the parameters of the ordinance prior to its passing. It is troubling that the city relied on community volunteers and not city representatives to outreach on businesses on such an important matter impacting our members' daily operations with financial implications. As you know, I voted on this back in February. I just wanted you, if you'd be able to expound upon that, because I think that's very important and a little disconcerting what you wrote there. So just kind of.
Yeah, I think this goes back to, we always view ourselves as partners in any community we operate in. Not having formal communications from the city to the appropriate individuals with the company is challenging and concerning for us. You have our contact information on our business license. Was that used? Was there a mailing done? Was there formal information sent? All we understand is that community volunteers came in, but you also have to understand the folks inside the store are busy running a store. And we had community volunteers a couple years ago coming and telling us all kinds of information about what we should or shouldn't be doing, depending on what the CDC may or may not have been recommending at the time. So it's very, very difficult when we don't get a formal outreach from the city that we can recognize as being a legitimate and official act.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else for quick clarification?
So for clarification, you or your staff never received any email or letter?
At the California Grocers Association, no, we did not.
Okay. And then with the shops that you represent, have they told you whether they received one or not? Or should I ask them? I mean, is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't, my answer to that is, I haven't seen those communications, and many of the stores that we've spoken to did not recall getting those or actually see those coming in, because once again, those weren't official outreach by the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else, Madam Clerk?
Jerry Sepulveda?
Okay, so first place of business as representing the Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to be a voice, because obviously representing the businesses and also representing the city of Paris, as you guys are members as well of the Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to point out a few things in the coordinates, because I feel like everyone wants to have healthy options. And so like out of the 38 approved items, 5 of them actually don't meet the criteria that's within the ordinance. And I think there's just a little bit, there's some confusion when it comes to that, which I know a lot of it has been cleared up with the with the amendments that are being proposed today. But I would just want to recommend as, the Chamber of Commerce to continue communicating or continue working with, whether it's Stater Brothers or the CGA, to kind of have that equal medium. And I do appreciate even the time you guys took as a city when you guys did sit down with me to explain kind of where we're at with that. So I want to just be kind of like an extra voice expressing of, I would continue the talk if we can with the grocery stores, especially with like Stater Brothers that have been here for so long. And another thing that just, which it doesn't make sense, but like out of Naked Juice and a 20-ounce Coke is actually coming in healthier when it comes to the ordinance because of the calorie count. So it's not that, I like my Coke, so I'm saying that we all want healthy food, but I think it just needs to be a little bit more clear on the items. So it's not a matter of, I know for rescinding or whatever, I want to be able to have an equal medium where everyone meets everyone in the middle. That's all I wanted to be able to say. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
That is all.
Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing at 8:10. And we're back to discussion. Please use the queue if you want to speak. Councilman Rab?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. I want to thank all the speakers for coming out tonight and everyone for working on this ordinance. As I mentioned earlier, I was one of the 5-0 votes to pass this ordinance back in February of 2023. In the interim time, have had discussions with the California Grocers Association, along with residents in the city of Paris, and thought long and hard when I go out and I go shopping. And I think this ordinance needs the amendments, but I think the amendments do not go far enough. Personally, I think it might be good to maybe even think about rescinding the ordinance, because one, Paris and Berkeley are the only two cities in California that have enacted such an ordinance out of California's 431 cities. Also, I think when we were looking at healthy options, we based our health options off the federal government's mandates. This is the same federal government 30 years ago gave the food pyramid that was saying that you should eat 6 to 12 servings of grains a day. And how has that worked out? You see people are more obese now than they've ever been. It's the same federal government that said 30, 40 years ago that margarine was a better substitute for butter. How has that worked out? The same federal government that said eating a low-fat, low-calorie diet would be better. But people are out here eating Fruity Pebbles for breakfast and saying eating 3 eggs is unhealthy. But the Fruity Pebbles, you have sugar, diabetes. You just go by Paris High, see how big those kids are. And I was one of them. I'm 5'7", I weigh about 160, 159 pounds, so about 3 pounds under the BMI, which is, you know, there's room for debate whether or not that's a healthy option. 21 years ago, as a 16-year-old, I weighed 199 pounds. And I didn't know I had to educate myself. I had to give myself self-discipline. But I don't think that the amendments go far enough. I think we should have convenience stores. I think we should have the smaller mom and pop stores as well if we're going to go far enough, or we should rescind it. I also think the 200-calorie limit is a little iffy, because you can eat one Reese's cup and that's about 100 calories. But if you get a bag of almonds, it might be 250 or even 300 calories. At the end of the day, I think it's onerous on our businesses. It's onerous on our community. I do give more leeway to Stater Brothers because, one, Stater Brothers was the first supermarket to build in the city of Paris, 1976, over on 4th Street. They built their second store in 1989 that's still in operation. And as I am well aware, they're currently looking for a second location in the city of Paris. They closed the one on 4th Street. We definitely need a new grocery store in the downtown area, but you close that location and you're looking for another one. I don't want to put something in place that may preclude other grocery stores from relocating to Paris. I think our main concern should be getting another grocery store on the north end. It's basically a food desert when it comes to grocery stores. I would really, really like for this matter to be continued. For one, to look into including smaller retail developments. Mr. James made a very good point about Paris High School. I attended Paris High School, graduated in 2004. All those shops were still there. When I wanted to get a snack, sometimes I'd go to Stater Brothers, sometimes I'd go to Rite Aid, sometimes I'd go to the Chevron or across the street to Mobile, or maybe even a little bit further up to one of the thousands of fast food places that are there. But ultimately, if we are going to get people healthy in this country, several things have to happen. One, we need to petition the federal government to change and the FDA to exclude a lot of the chemical additives that are in a lot of the foods that are in America that are not in other countries. The aspartame, the red 40 dye, the seed oils. For instance, McDonald's, prior to the 1990s, used to fry their French fries in beef tallow. They switched over to all these seed oils that didn't even exist 120 years ago. So what has happened? People have gotten bigger. Life expectancy is decreasing among the lower and working class, while the upper class, it's increasing. So you're kind of seeing a bifurcation of life expectancy. Two, and more importantly, as city council members, we can increase our fight against obesity by one, making more walkable communities. That's why I always bring up moving the sidewalks away from roads where people are going 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, putting a buffer there. But I don't think this ordinance will really make a difference. One, the people need to be educated. Two, the people need to get self-disciplined. And a lot of these people, if they're obese, their whole chemical is just messed up. Their metabolism is messed up. Watch 600-Pound Life. They don't have the self-discipline. So this is really not going to do anything for people that are just fat. Let's just be real about it. I can say that as a formerly fat person, but you know, I got there, made self-discipline, worked out. I didn't go and moan and complain about fat acceptance and all that stuff they're trying to push on kids nowadays. But I do think the ordinance, the amendments, we need to expand the amendments. We need to include convenience stores, smaller grocery stores. We also need to look into maybe just decreasing it down to 50%, because at the end of the day, they have to make their money. If people are buying sweet items at the checkout, maybe they need to go to the grocery store, eat dinner, then go to the grocery store. So I think we should continue this matter, continue our talks with the California Grocers Association and Stater Brothers to make an amendment that is business-friendly and accomplishes what we need to do here for the city of Paris. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have some comments and some questions that hopefully Crystal could kind of clarify. I'll probably get to that in a bit. I don't want you standing there the whole time. But I do want to give a special thank you to all the speakers. It was very informative with your concerns for both sides. I did have the pleasure of speaking with those that have concerns about it. A special thank you to Stephen Astorga for giving up his time for explaining in a real world scenario what the concerns are. I did also take my my measuring tape too to see where 6 feet were, and there was kind of a little bit of confusion, but I think Crystal kind of clarified it with the from the check register. So if you count 6 feet and where that would be and what items would be affected, there's still some confusion though, as many other people stated, and I definitely take Stephen's word very seriously. I've known him for over 20 years. We were on the wrestling team, about 75 pounds lighter, right? But so I definitely appreciate you and with your concerns. When this specific item was brought to us, I like all my colleagues were in support of it, and we never heard any concerns. It was an empty room. I think it was a really long meeting, so we were like, okay, yeah, sure, it sounds great, because but hearing that maybe some of you guys there were some communication issues. It kind of definitely impacts my thoughts on perhaps we might have rushed it at that time. I'm very happy to know that you guys have continued the discussions and that there was some dialogue going back, and out of the 10 or 11 concerns that they had, we were able to meet them on 6 of them. There's still some questions on what some of those are. So I guess this is the part where I have some questions for you, Crystal. To clarify, as Jerry Sepulveda, who's another person I've known for about 25 years, he brought up the concern about a Coca-Cola is considered healthier than a naked juice. And, I'm not sure what the calorie stuff is going on, but I think there should be a difference between calorie counts and nutritional value. Because I think we could maybe agree, I know some people, they like to say something's healthy and it's not, but could we agree, though, that a naked juice would have more nutritional value than a Coca-Cola? But would neither one of those qualify to be within the 6 feet?
So the beverages some of them are based on 40 calories, so they probably both would not qualify. And if we look at a naked juice, sometimes we see these items and we expect them to be healthy. It has fruits and vegetables in the front, but when we actually look at the ingredients list and we actually look to see what the top 3 ingredients list are, sugar tends to be one of those leading ingredients list. I don't have the bottle with me. I could definitely check that out, but that also plays into effect. So it's not just the label, what's in front of it, or the calorie count, it's also the ingredients and what makes that specific product.
Okay, thank you. And then for clarification, we have excluded nuts from that list, correct? Is that so one argument I kept hearing a lot was pistachios. You can't have pistachios on there. Is that I thought we moved that to the it's okay list, right? Is that
correct? So of the proposed amendments, it was proposed to remove all fat requirements to allow the nuts and the seeds, and pistachios would qualify under that list.
Okay, so pistachios is okay. They can sell pistachios all they want.
Yes, it would just depend on the sizing of it. So if you sell a
Okay.
bigger bag, family bag, or the larger size, those would not be allowed because of the calorie count. But if you saw the smaller individual size, those would be allowed at the checkout area.
Okay, so I know realistically it wouldn't happen, right? But if I was a store, and I'm a very poor store manager, but I happen to put giant bags of salad right at the checkout stand, right? And they're just huge, giant salads. I mean, those will be higher than the calorie count, right? But those wouldn't be allowed. Is that?
So one of the things that we're proposing is to add clarifying language to exempt fruits and vegetables from from qualifying under the food requirements. So if they did want to sell a full bunch of bananas or single bananas, they would be allowed to do so
Okay,
under
but
the
they-
proposed
But they could
amendments.
sell a bag of bananas if they wanted to?
Yes.
Okay, but not nuts, not pistachio nuts or
They could sell the
peanuts.
pistachio nuts. It
but-
would just
but-
be the smaller size, the
Okay.
quantities.
Okay, and what's the purpose of that? What would be the logic purpose of that, of not allowing somebody to buy a family-size pistachio bag of nuts?
So generally, when we look at the checkout areas, we don't really see the larger size item. We see a lot of those individual grab-to-go, maybe individual granola bars or a small pack of items. So these standards are per package, which align with the smaller food items, not the larger ones.
Right. No, I totally understand that. I normally don't see it, but why are we limiting whether they could sell a large bag or not of pistachio nuts? Is that, right, like,
We're not limiting them, it's just per the requirements. If it exceeds the 200 calories, then they wouldn't be allowed. But there are other pistachio brands and other sizes that are allowed under the ordinance. So they would still be able to sell the pistachios, but it would be the smaller individual size, not the larger size.
okay, thank you. Now, have you gone out to these stores and like kind of like take a look at how it would affect them?
Yes, I have
Okay.
gone out.
Have you seen anywhere, at Stater Brothers, for example, I took my measuring tape there, and we saw that the cooler for drinks is more than 6 feet. Now I know it's kind of like, but I don't blame Mr. Storga for trying to clarify. Is it from where the cooler starts, or is it the door that you open it? Where's the 6 feet at?
So if I could reference the image that I sent, I have on the
Right.
PowerPoint, just to give a clearer image. So the starting point begins at the register. So every store has a register maybe in the middle, maybe a little bit closer to the conveyor belt. So the 6 foot would begin where the register is at. And in this case, and even in Stater Brothers' case, the coolers are outside of the 6 feet area.
Oh, okay. So in Stater Brothers' case, they can sell all the Coca-Cola they want there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it wouldn't even affect them, and I think
Would
most
not.
of the stores that I went to go see, it was kind of the same system. So
Yes.
drinks are kind of out of the way. And then the deli, they had a concern about the delis or the bakery.
Yes,
You know,
so-
like if I go to bakery, I'm going there, I'm not going there to get the most healthiest food, right? But that would be exempt, right?
Correct. So one of the things that we're proposing is to exempt any other checkout area outside of the primary checkout area where people tend to pay. So that includes the deli, the bakery. For Walmart, it would be the garden section or the electronics section because there's a counter back there too. So it would only apply to the primary checkout area.
Okay. And then I think there was another, if you could go, I think back one. It was the one where they had like the credit, right? Yeah, that one. So in Stater Brothers example, for example, in Stater Brothers case, they would have, you had a check register. Say if I'm the cashier, this is my check stand. Behind me is the neighboring, I guess, snack lane. Does it have to be 6 feet away from my back? If this is my check stand, it has to be 6 feet away from behind me as well?
Correct, yes. It'd be a 6 foot radius.
Okay. And yeah, I know there's a weird question, but one concern was also brought up of alcohol. So during the holiday sales, Stater Brothers gets, they sell plenty of alcohol, and one of those is kind of like, at real close to one of the check stands. Would that be, I take it beer wouldn't fall in the in the healthy options, right? So would have to be 6 feet away?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think that's kind of it. I just kind of, like with the same thing with the grocery stores, I was kind of confused on it, on the writing of it. I do agree with Councilman Rabb. I think we just need to have more dialogue. I'm open to more dialogue. I know we have a year to implement this. Now, strangely enough, Winco, I went over to Winco. They had a whole, about, 8 feet away from their thing. They had a whole stack of candy. But right there at the checkout stand, it was all healthy food. So they're already doing it before we're even requiring it. And I heard Aldi already did it even before we did it. So they've been doing it for a while. Are we getting a lot of support from this from the local grocers? I don't want to say support, but are they complying?
Yeah, so Aldi supermarkets already had those changes, so essentially they're already following the ordinance. When it came to Winco Food, they actually did go out and measure the 6 feet radius from the register as it pertains to the current adopted ordinance and made those changes prior to the effective date. And prior to the ordinance going into effect, so the week of and a little bit the week before, we did receive inquiries from stores, Winco, La Playita Bakery, Dollar General, Cardenas, Rite Aid, and Walmart asking if it would be into effect and if they needed to submit their form. So they were really receptive when speaking to them.
Oh, so they're already doing it, right?
They had inquired, but were advised to wait because of these proposed updates that we were bringing today.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And then, just kind of a list that Mr. Storga provided, just some things that I would think are kind of healthy, but, those would be one of the options. I'm not sure if you know specifically, but like with a Cliff Bar, that would be excluded?
It would depend on the ingredients list. I don't know it from the top
Okay.
of my head, but I could easily look through that and filter through those items and see if they would qualify with the proposed updates.
Okay, and same thing, I guess same thing with the trail mix too, because they got candy and trail mixes
Right.
usually and stuff like that. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. I'll just kind of make my comments there, but if I have any more questions, I'll be sure to have you, but you can have a seat right now. I
Thank
just
you.
want to get through my comments. But I totally understand the concerns. I think there have been a lot of compromises. I'm glad to know that your top sellers would be excluded from the list, so you still can sell Coca-Cola, you can still sell your drinks. For me, I saw this as really focusing on the children, as Karen stated. It really focused on the children. With the people that say like, hey, we need to educate ourselves and it's a teachable moment. Those are people who either don't have kids or forgot what it's like to have kids, right? I have a 1-year-old and an 8-year-old. Now my 8-year-old, he's good now, but there was a time he would just grab a Sour Patch Kids. He was addicted to those. Okay, he would get those. If he could eat them 3 times a day, he would. He loved them, right? Now a teachable moment would be like, hey, buddy, listen, it's very important. The calorie counts, whatever, right? He's gonna throw a fit. Meanwhile, there's a line behind you waiting, right? So what am I gonna do? And in this day and age, right? Now what my parents would have done would probably just spank me right then and there, and everyone would clap for it, right? Now these days you can't do that. You can't spank your kids. So what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna throw it on there, right? Because I got a long line waiting. I got the cashier right there. So I can't. It's just one of those battles, right? Now, I don't want to get them candy, so I don't go down the candy aisle. The checkout stand, I don't have a choice, right? It's there, and it's eye level to the kids, right? They know it is. Now, when I did the 6 feet away from the check register, we found that it really only impacts about half the snack line, right? So if you move the 48% closer to the check to the check register, to the cash register, it'll actually be okay, and you'll be fine. It wouldn't impact anything. Then you could have all the snacks, the Kit Kats and Snickers and Sour Patch Kids right there. But so for me, it's more about the kids. I completely agree with Councilman Rabb. The kids today look different from the kids that we grew up with, and much different from the kids that my parents grew up with, right? It just through all the things and the absolute bombardment. Now, I pride ourselves in being business-friendly environment. We love to have more business around. With the city of Paris, one of the few cities around the area that still doesn't do a sales tax, like many of our cities do, 1% sales tax. So we pride ourselves in being business friendly, but at the same time we want to make sure that we have a healthy community. It's nothing new when the government steps in. I agree with the government kind of messed up here and there, right? But for example, if you look at alcohol, right? It used to be 18 years, and then they saw, hey, a lot of issues that we're having are from this group from 18 to 20 years old, so let's raise it to 21. Same thing with cigarettes, right? With cigarettes, as a kid, I saw cigarettes right there at the checkout stand, right? Now they kind of moved it around, and then they changed it to 21 years old, right? I am absolutely convinced, if it's based on profit, that stores would sell to a 12-year-old if it were legal. No problem. They would have no problem of doing it, right? But we also got to think about the responsible thing without impacting the profits of our stores. So I think the changes, I think we got to clarify those, because some of them are saying, hey, we're going to lose so much money, but if you really look at it, it's not going to be impacted all that much. 6 feet isn't really that much distance. All the gum is going to be really untouched. If they just move the stuff just a little bit more, all the drinks are untouched. So that's one of your top 5 products. Your biggest sellers are right there. And keep in mind, we are not in no way banning these items for the store, right? I mean, if someone wants to get a 12-pack, they can still get a 12-pack of Coca-Cola or a 2-liter or even the bigger ones. So I think we just need more dialogue. I definitely agree with Councilman Rab. If we could kind of keep these discussions and really clarify, and if we could actually go to the stores, talk to the managers, and kind of just lay out what's going to be impacted, what's not. But those are all the comments. I am in agreement with the amendments. I think some of the other proposed amendments could maybe take a look at them.
Thank you, Councilman. We need to move on.
Good evening, Mayor. Right here, Mayor. Karen Gardner with CSPI would like to provide further clarification, if she may.
Who?
Karen Gardner with
Okay,
CSPI.
we closed already the public comment part, so.
Okay.
Councilwoman Rogers.
Yes. Crystal, can you go back to the screen where you have the different amendments with the compromise now on those 6 or 7 items? Okay. Of these items that we're compromising on, the 6 or 7 that we have on here and some that's going to be a partial recommendation, have all of the grocers that are here tonight, or the gentleman, Mr. James, representing the Grocers Association, have they all seen this?
Yes, the most recent one that we did add was number 10, which was based from the letter received after the meeting we had. So we did review all of these items with them, with California Grocers Association.
So in spite of doing these 6 or 7 compromises, they're still dissatisfied with even these new amendments? Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
But they have all seen this and had the opportunity to have input into this?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So at the meetings that you conducted by city staff, who all from the grocery industry participated in those meetings? Do you remember? Which grocers
Yes.
were there and represented?
If I may go back to another slide to
Sure.
show.
Thank you.
So we had Cárdenas, Food for Less, Staterbro Markets, Winco Foods, La Favorita Market, and Walmart Supercenter attend,
As well as CCGA.
as well as California Grocers Association.
Okay. So that's how we came up with those 7 different compromises, is that correct?
So
From
the
their input?
The compromises were brought by California Grocers Association prior to our first meeting with all the businesses.
Okay. And now they know what's going to be proposed tonight, and they've all seen it. That was my concern. I wanted to make sure they had the opportunity to weigh in and had seen these. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be brief.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I'll be very brief in my comments, and I don't have any questions for you, Crystal, but thank you so much on your
Thank
work.
you.
Again, I won't reiterate what my colleague said. I think we've all driven down the point, but I do want to go ahead and give direction. If we could continue the dialogue, it seems like we're at a place where we've heard public comment that wasn't available to us prior to making the first decision. So I'd like to introduce a motion to postpone so we can continue the dialogue. I feel like this will enable our city as well as our grocers to work in the middle and come back with something that's more satisfactory. Again, we need our grocers' input in order to be able to implement this. And if we find a happy ground or a happy medium, because again, our goal is to provide healthy communities, but again, we can't do that without our grocers' willingness to do so. So with that being said, I have a motion on the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate your motion, but I'd also appreciate if you let the mayor speak first before we do a motion and pass something. So, Crystal, come back up and please bring the slide back to the checkout stand. So, I don't understand the confusion from this dais. There's been a lot of meetings. There's nothing confusing here. The bottom line is we just need to make a vote, and we're doing this based on what our constituents had requested. With all these folks that spoke today, and thank you all for coming, there was 2 workshops that they all attended, correct?
Yes.
So we held them in workshops. In addition to that, they reached out to some of you all and spoke. In addition to that, they reached out to the mayor and held 3 meetings, with I think 4 or 5 meetings altogether collectively I had with our staff and these speakers from the grocery, from CGA and some of the markets, Stater Brothers in particular. So I'm going to have to reiterate a couple of things that people have already said just to make the point. So if you can't buy a little bag of pistachios, or you can't buy the big bag of pistachios, that doesn't mean that they can't sell big bag of pistachios.
That's correct.
If you can't buy that candy bar at the checkout stand, doesn't mean you can't buy it at all. They can't put it in the store.
They can still buy the candy bar.
That's
yes,
correct. The size of that first purple box that's in the 6 feet, compared to the stand next to it to the left, that stand is twice as big as that little stand that's on
Correct.
the belt.
Yes.
And yet they're complaining that we're eliminating all their product and they can't make they're going to lose $400,000. And the vast majority of these markets have their soda pops, as everybody brought that up today, how bad Coke is or not Coke compared to the naked fruit drink, doesn't even apply in this picture because the refrigerator is outside of the line. And if it's not, all they got to do is move it. We're not asking for a lot of things, folks. And Steve, you know, I appreciate you being here. Yes, do you still live in Paris? Do you still live in Paris? Okay. So, you know, I don't understand the confusion, guys. They did due diligence by meeting with me and our staff. Plus staff worked, I don't know how many meetings they had, a lot more than I did. The waiting area, so the 6 feet part and then the waiting area, a waiting area means anything you stand outside of that 6 foot mark. I mean, if you go to, every once in a while, Staters, because I shop at Staters, I'm standing inside the aisle behind that whole walking area. That means that would have been applied to this ordinance, but we changed that. And I think the mindset, and Crystal made that very clear, was that was during COVID. We had this 6 foot distancing. And I think we all bought into that and not really realizing, well, we're not in COVID no more. So that's ridiculous. We don't need that. I would never put that on a store owner. So we took that out. The top sellers, I mean, again, that's easily fixed. Take them out of that little square area that you see there and put it in the twice. And keep in mind, in a market like Staters, that's twice as much because they have it on the left and they have it on the right. So I'm sorry, Steve, and I'm sorry, Tim. We're not hurting you. We're not going to break your $400,000 mark. And it's amazing how they told me in a meeting 400,000 lost in sales, and Cardenas said they're going to have 4,000. I said, wow, that's amazing. You two markets are going to lose exactly the same amount of money when you have twice as much product after that 6 foot mark and a refrigerator that's outside that area. I'm sorry. I don't know what confusion anybody has on this dais or outside in the audience. This is very clear. The people asked for us to have a healthy checkout. Our people asked and appreciated and approved the healthy beverage checkout and fast food restaurants for the combination kids meals for water is the beverage default. Not a problem. But here we have a problem with some of our grocers with this small little section that's going to break the bank there when they have this massive amount of candy going up and down where they could have their big bags of, because I buy my big bag of pistachios. I love chili pistachios. And I am overweight, and God knows I'm trying to lose my weight. But we're not taking everything away from you guys. It's just that little section. We've met too much. And when I met with them and staff, they brought all these changes they wanted. As you've been told, you already saw it. We agreed to 6 of them. We modified the distance. That's technically another one. That's 7. I don't know what more meetings we need to have to clarify this. There is no more reason. And if we don't pass this today, it's going to revert to the old one, and that's even 10 times worse than what you are going to be imposed on now. So let me make sure I have all my notes done. I think that was it. And, all right, so at this point, I would like to know if you would like to clarify or revise your amend your motion.
No, I'd still like to move forward with it.
All right.
So for clarification, can you?
She wants further talk.
Say your, okay. So, but it, re-
Further discussion, input, and dialogue between the city and the grocers in order to find yet a happy medium where we know that the grocers are more willing to comply and yet we'll still meet our goal of trying to implement healthier options for our community.
okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, or Mr. Mayor, if I may, just to clarify, that motion is to continue to date uncertain with the comments as mentioned by Mayor Pro Tem?
On date uncertain, yes.
Okay.
Because that would require more meetings again.
I could put a date, I could choose for our next council meeting.
Let's not put a date. We have to hold meetings. We don't know
Okay,
availabilities. So.
sounds good.
Did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, no, I do appreciate you, and I definitely appreciate the time that you gave for this, Mayor. I definitely value your with your input and the changes that you and the staff made and working with the grocers. But we're still getting emails about that people are still concerned about it and are confused about it. So I think it's important for us to find out exactly what the heck's going on. I think if my colleagues maybe want to meet with them separately as well too, it'll give us more clarification on why they seem to be confused still.
But that's why I asked that clarification question of Crystal when she put the slide up with those 7 considerations. Were they involved with this? Were all the grocers there? Did they have input? And she said, yes, they did. So they had input. That's why we came up with those
Well,
compromises.
let me add more to that. Those 10 items they brought to us, those weren't our changes. They asked for these changes. And we compromised with 6 plus a half, if you will, right? That came from them, not us.
So were they aware, like the nuts, for example? Because I went to Stater Brothers. I talked to Steven Storga yesterday afternoon, right? I was over there yesterday afternoon, and he handed me a bag of nuts and said, hey, under your ordinance, it wouldn't qualify. And it was a small bag. I mean, it wasn't a big bag. So was the store managers there, or was it like maybe the CEOs, or who was there for Stater Brothers, for example?
I believe it was Steve that was there, but then there were also some higher-ups that were present in the following meetings with the mayor.
Okay, thank you.
So go back to that checkout stand again. So I feel bad you can't have that little bag right there, but you can have a twice as big bag right next to it, Councilman. What is not understanding on that? It's clear as day.
I think what you stated about Stater Brothers, where they have it on 2 sides, and then so it was on their other side would be impacted. So with that stand, I don't think they have a stand like that on the left side, like the way it looks right there. They have it on the other side. They basically have that on the other side.
Okay,
And that would
but
be
my
impacted.
point is though,
Right.
they have them on both sides.
Yeah, they have it on both sides. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And then a question I had about the specific picture, with the 6 feet, I'm looking at the other checkout stand on the other side, right further down. Is that going to be impacted with that drink cooler, with that fridge? Would that be impacted?
Only if it falls within the 6-foot radius.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
I'd second the motion.
We have a motion by Council, you want to move Mayor Pro Tem Nava, second by Councilman Rab, and this is to have continued talks with the folks that are involved in this from the CGA and groceries and what have you. Okay, everybody understands? All right, please call the vote.
Corona, Rab, Nava, yes. Rogers, Vargas, no.
Okay, thank you. So in the meantime, the old ordinance stays in effect until this is changed. So it'll go in effect July 1. It's already in effect. So now you can't, you got to go beyond 6 feet, the waiting lines, so just so you know, just for clarification. All right, item G is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order. Street Vacation Street, STVAC 23-05092, a proposal to vacate a 0.28 acre segment of Old Nuevo Road located at the southeast corner of Old Nuevo Road and Nuevo Road to facilitate the construction of a drive-through restaurant, Raising Cane's, applicant, City of Paris, and John Pollock and Kimley Horn. This is going to be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor, and members of the City Council. This item will be presented by our Senior Planner, Nathan Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. The next item we have before you is the Old Nuevo Street Vacation Project. And the street vacation being considered tonight is located at the southeast corner of Old Nuevo Road and Nuevo Road, as depicted in the red outline area. Some background information about this vacation. March of this year, the Planning Commission approved a conditional use permit for the construction of a 3,831 square foot Raising Cane's drive-through restaurant. As part of the project was conditioned to vacate a 0.28 acre segment of excess right-of-way to facilitate the construction of a Raising Cane's drive-through restaurant. Also, most recently, in May 30th of this year, the City Council authorized to intent to vacate. And now we are here tonight to formally request approval of the street vacation. So what's currently out there? Well, here's a view looking east that depicts the Old Nuevo segment outlined by the red line that is not utilized as a public street. Nobody drives across it. It does not provide any type of access to businesses or parcels, and therefore it's considered excess right-of-way. Here's the underlying street vacation in comparison to the underlying site plan, which consists of a 0.28 acre triangular shaped segment of excess right-of-way depicted in the red outline, consisting of a 4,992 square foot northerly portion owned and fee by the City of Paris, and also a 7,392 square foot southerly portion owned and fee by the 99-cent only store. The applicant respectfully requests that the City Council approve the street vacation to allow them to proceed with the construction of the future Raising Cane's. So in conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council determine that the Old Nuevo street vacation is categorically exempt as a common sense exemption, as the project will not have a significant impact on the environment. And also, city staff recommends that the council adopt a resolution approving the street vacation based upon the Planning Commission's general plan conformity determination. So this concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions that the council might have.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. Council, anybody have any quick questions for clarification before I open the public hearing? All right, saying none, we're going to open up the hearing at 8:48 p.m. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Hearing and seeing none, we will close the public comment at 8:40.
Sorry, I didn't get up here fast enough. John Pollock, Kimley Horn and Associates. I'm development consultant representing Raising Cane's and the landowner. Nothing to specifically say, just want to let you know that I was here. If there's any specifics regarding the development that we want to talk about, we're certainly here to do that and answer any questions that you may have specific to the development. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. All right, at this time, we'll close the public hearing at 8:48, and I'll call for a motion on the resolution. A motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call a vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. 11H is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order denying the adoption of the mitigated negative declaration 2388 and denying specific plan amendment SPA 22-05173 and conditional use permit CUP 22-05172, a proposal to facilitate the construction of a truck terminal facility on 8.3 acres located on the northeast corner of Paris Boulevard and Markham Street. The applicant is Bobby Nasir, Truck Terminals Properties, LLC. This will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening again, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Again, this item will be presented by our Senior Planner, Nathan Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next item we have before you is the Paris Truck Terminal Project, and the applicant is Mr. Bobby Nasir, who's here in attendance. The project being considered tonight is located at the northeast corner of Paris Boulevard and Markham Street, within the Paris Commerce Center specific plan, surrounded by vacant land to the north, industrial development to the west, and also to the south. And also to the east is a truck terminal that's currently under construction, depicted in the yellow box, which was approved by the City Council in October 2021. And pretty much processed the same rezone request by the same applicant, Mr. Bobby Nasir. Now the applicant is proposing to rezone the project site from business park office to light industrial to facilitate the construction of the truck terminal. Here's the site plan that's being proposed. As you can see, the applicant's proposing a 720 square foot guard shack and also 201 truck trailer spaces, basically known as a truck terminal. Access will be provided along Markham Street by the red, as depicted by the red arrows. And also the project includes a 14-foot high concrete wall that pretty much screens all the trucks from Paris Boulevard and Markham Street. Also, there are several Paris and Markham street improvements, which include curb, gutter, and pretty much a straight sidewalk. The sidewalk will not be meandering. And this is what the applicant's proposing. Some background information: the Planning Commission on June 7th, not too long ago, considered the truck terminal project and expressed that there is a need for a truck terminal for local operators, but not along Paris Boulevard. However, the Planning Commission recommended to deny the project based on the findings. The PC, or the Planning Commission, were concerned with the loss of business park office along Paris Boulevard, which can potentially provide higher paying jobs. They also mentioned, expressed concerns of the potential trucks along Paris Boulevard and ultimately along Ramona Expressway. And they also stated that the specific plan amendment is inconsistent with the general plan policies. And that's the reason why they recommended denial to the City Council. However, the Planning Commission included conditions of approval as part of the denial should the City Council approve the project, which includes a condition to provide more landscaping with a landscape feature at the corner of Paris Boulevard and Markham Street. Also, a condition to explore providing a shaded structure above the EB parking stalls. Also include, make sure to ensure adequate truck maneuverability into the project site. And also a condition to prohibit left and right-hand turning movements from Markham Street to prevent trucks from traveling up and down Paris Boulevard. Staff has drafted these conditions and are included should you approve the project. Since the meeting, Mr. Bobby Nasir, who's in attendance tonight, revised the project plans based on the Planning Commission's concerns with the following: concerning landscaping or more landscaping and a corner statement landscape feature. The applicant has revised the plans to increase the landscaping from 12% to 15%. Also, the applicant updated the plan with a enhanced landscape feature at the corner of Markham and Paris Boulevard, which is shown on the red box. Concerning the shaded electric vehicles, truck parking spaces, the applicant has agreed and is conditioned to provide a shaded structure when EV charging stations are installed. So they pretty much, the applicant agreed on that condition. 3, concerning the site access driveway maneuverability into the site, the applicant has widened the driveway approach from 51 feet to 81 feet to ensure adequate maneuverability into the site. And then lastly, concerning the truck traffic circulation, the applicant has worked with the city engineer and agreed to the following engineering conditions. So number one, to prevent trucks from going northbound in Paris Boulevard, they agreed to pretty much construct a 1-foot-high triangular raised island to pretty much preclude trucks from traveling northbound. Also, the city engineer included a condition to pretty much reduce the width of the left turn pocket from 11 feet to 9 feet to include a channelizer. And also, they agreed to pretty much install more signage to direct truck traffic away from Paris Boulevard and Ramona Expressway. I would like to also mention about this project, the applicant has agreed or is conditioned to have a 30-year covenant, pretty much restricting the property from being developed as a warehouse facility for 30 years. Also, the applicant has offered and also is conditioned to make a contribution of $489,000 for programs, city programs, projects, which can include also the Downtown Paris Skills Training Center. So based on that, city staff's recommendation, planning staff is carrying forth the recommendation of the Planning Commission, which recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution to deny adoption of mitigated negative declaration and to deny the specific plan amendment and conditional use permit. We also have an alternate resolution and ordinance should the City Council desire or choose to approve the project. Staff prepared a separate resolution and ordinance, including conditions of approval for adoption of the mitigated negative declaration for the approval of the conditional use permit and specific plan amendment for the proposed truck terminal, which is stated in the slide. So I'm here to answer any questions. Mr. Bobby Nasir also has a presentation. He has boards so that he would like to share with the City Council.
Thank you, sir. At this time, councilors, may have any questions for comments or for clarification? Okay, Councilwoman or Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I have a question for the applicant, Mr. Nazir, if you don't mind. Come on up.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, and staff. I'm here to answer questions and put together a short presentation also.
Good evening. When you purchased this property, was your goal to rezone from the beginning?
Yes,
Okay. And we have availability of land that does not require a rezone for this purpose. Did you look into those properties?
yes, there was a parcel that I looked at in the south end of Paris by the Railroad Museum. But since there's such a heavy concentration of warehouses in the north end, we looked at it and it made a lot more sense to try and keep the truck traffic on the north end closer to the warehouses where the desirability would be, rather than traveling down to the south end where there's more residential, even though it was zoned industrial by the Railroad Museum.
Okay, so that's a mention of one property, but according to our staff report, there is available property, correct? That does not require a rezone for this type of use?
There might be limited. I just know that a lot of land has been already in process of entitlement, but there probably is some limited land out there.
Okay, thank you. And how many higher paying professional jobs do you plan on employing for this use?
There's several employees that are guard. This is not a heavy employee-based
Okay,
use.
thank you. And I asked that question because we're giving up BPO. So you're basically confirming that you don't plan on hiring professional, higher paying jobs since you're in search of this rezone, correct?
Correct.
So no higher paying jobs, but do you know how many, do you have an estimate as to how many jobs will be available?
I don't have an estimate.
Okay. Somewhere in the report it mentioned that potentially one, right, a security?
There will be.
Okay, okay. Those are the questions I have for now. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Yes, I think I was on there. I don't know what happened, but.
Councilman Corona?
Question for Nathan, if you could come up here back again. I wonder if you could go back to the picture with the pork chop, you know, the right turn only. Yeah, so, will this be on the corner of Markham and Paris Boulevard to do only a right turn? Is that what the purpose of that is, for trucks?
That's correct.
Okay, so they couldn't do a left turn, even though there's a left-hand turn available there?
Yeah, so that pork chop is pretty much to preclude trucks from making a right into Paris Boulevard, preventing them from going northbound. And also, if you look at the exhibit, we have the left-hand turn pocket precluding the trucks from going southbound.
Okay, so for them to go straight, there's another warehouse right in front of them, right? So they couldn't even go straight on Markham?
They could potentially go straight on Markham.
Okay, but that's not the truck route, right? Like the
Yeah.
truck route is,
I could show you an exhibit. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see if I could bring it up here. I have no control. So essentially, they could actually go westbound on Markham Street to Indian Avenue. Instead of a truck driver going eastbound, north on Redlands, and then pretty much going left on Harley Knox towards the freeway. The shortest distance would actually be across Paris Boulevard, Markham, Indian, and Harley Knox.
okay, because the staff report we got, it was just kind of going down Harley Knox, going south on Redlands, and then east or west on Markham, but I'm not sure if it. Okay, thank you. I think my next question for Mr. Nasir. Thank you for being here again, Mr. Nasir. I know it's not the first time you've been here. You brought another item before, and I think there was a close vote. I myself was conflicted on that item. I think I ended up voting no, but it was a very close one because I thought there was a need for it. It was a great location. Are you finished with that location already? Is it?
No,
It's
not yet.
already filled.
No, I'm not finished with it.
Oh, you're not finished with
It's under construction.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression that it was already filled, so you want to find another location. Okay. So do you think that there's that much of a demand for the trucks right now, or is that?
Yeah, I believe there's over 20 million square feet of industrial warehouses in the city of Paris.
Okay.
There are very few of these that are dedicated to truck and trailer or trailers that will help alleviate some of the trailers that we see on the street. So absolutely, it is our estimate that there is a need.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
I don't see anybody else in the queue. Nobody else wants to speak? Can you can have a seat, Mr. Nasir.
If you want me to do a little presentation on the boards,
Sure, why don't you do that now? Do I have to open up the public hearing now?
That's correct.
All right, let me open up the public hearing at 9:03. And let me, go ahead, Bobby, you can start.
Great. I don't know which board it is there, but it gives you, sorry. They take existing photos off of Paris Boulevard.
Can you have the young man that you're talking, we can't see him from here.
Can he come in there? Do you want him closer?
No, it's good.
That's fine, the Paris Boulevard views are good. That's what I want to talk about. Just wanted to give a second of the Paris Boulevard view here. There was some question about landscaping and setbacks on Paris Boulevard. Obviously, Paris Boulevard is not a truck route, but Markham Street is a truck route. So after the Planning Commission, the last parcel actually on Paris Boulevard is about 24% landscaping. If if I recall correctly. We cut off the corner of the property, the wall, at Markham Street and Paris Boulevard. We added a decorative feature. We pushed the wall east into the property to bring a larger buffer zone on Paris Boulevard and the development. And then it also gives us a buffer from Paris Boulevard even to the sidewalk so that pedestrians aren't walking very close to traffic on Paris Boulevard. So I just wanted to point that out and reiterate some of the issues that Nathan also covered. The contribution to the downtown development center. There also is a 30-year restriction on this for no warehouses. This really is here to serve the industry in the area and to help alleviate some of the truck and trailer traffic. I can move over to each slide if you guys want. No.
This is your time to do your presentation.
Yep, that was it. I think Nathan covered the other issues. Planning Commission had about 4 or 5 technical issues. One of them was just the truck traffic on Paris Boulevard, making sure there's no right or left turns onto Paris Boulevard. We are okay as a condition of approval, putting in the pork chop and channelizers as directed by the engineering department to prevent truck traffic. Was shade. The future of this is also we've planned for power to the site for EV charging for tractors when the time is right. It's just not there yet, the technology for tractors, but we're working with Edison to make sure the site has all the underground conduits and the power available so that when we get there, we will have it ready to go. That will be one of the few only sites that I know of in Southern California, will be in the city of Paris, that will be able to do that. Once we put that up, a planning commission request was that if there are tractors with drivers, that we provide shade for them. I have no problem providing that also. We also increase the turning radius as you go inside the terminal. It was 51 feet. We pushed it out to 81 feet to make sure that there's plenty of turning radius for all the tractors. I think that's it, other than questions that the council may have for me.
Councilman Rabb?
Yes, this is more of a question to staff and then to Mr. Nasir. I know one of the conditions of approval is a 30-year with no warehousing. Is there a way we can put that 30-year with no warehousing after the 30 years ends? Any vote for a warehouse would need to come to the council for approval? Because I know if we rezone this light industrial, 30 years ends, a warehouse developer can go straight to the planning commission. And if we can do that, is Mr. Nasir open to that kind of tweak of the a condition of approval?
Covenant.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay, so if we vote today to rezone this from BPL to light industrial, one of the covenants or conditions of approval is that a warehouse cannot be built there for 30 years, yes. I know one of the things that we run into as a council is that a lot of this land was zoned light industrial prior to any of us getting on the council, and it goes straight to the planning commission. And I think a lot of the developers who are building these warehousing, they try to max it out, go for the most amount of warehouse they can go for. Is there any way we can put it that, most likely none of us will be on the council, we'll be all termed out at that time. But 30 years from now, the council may want to say, hey, let's scale it back. Is there a way we can put that on there where it goes straight up, where the council has the final say in any warehouse development?
I'm going to defer that to our legal counsel in terms of possible language we can include to make that a requirement.
That's something we would have to explore. Because under the current code, it would just go to, I believe, Planning Commission, right? And then if it's appealed to council, but the director can also refer it up if it's a controversial item, that's my understanding as well. But I don't know if there's a way to do it such that subsequent property owners would have that restriction without actually amending our code. But it's certainly something that we can explore and kind of look into.
Councilmember Rep, I wanted to let you know that I'm open to having that discussion with the city attorney and staff. The intention is, I think there is a need based upon the warehouses, and as long as everyone's being reasonable, and I'm happy to look at something like that.
Okay, thank you.
The intention is
I-
not there.
I know 30 years is a long time.
Right.
30 years from now, warehousing may be farming or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
hopefully. So just thinking
I'm open
about
to it.
future people. Okay.
I'm open to having that discussion, and maybe we can say, direct staff to have that discussion. I don't know exactly what it would look like, and ultimately, as long as they have the authorization, I'm open to looking at that.
Okay, if we can further explore that, if my colleagues are okay with that.
Sure, I'll be 92. I'm more than happy to discuss that with you.
I'll come looking for you. Hopefully, I'll be
All
around.
right, anybody else wants to say anything?
Yeah, just a couple comments. I do want to thank you, Mr. Nasir. You've always come to the city, been honest about your project, and I do believe it's a quality project. I don't think you're bringing these just a parking lot, right? It's good quality. With the previous one that you brought, I thought it was a good project. It was away from the city. It's definitely it was away from the major arteries. It was a project that was in much of need. My concern with this project, though, it's right on Paris Boulevard. And Paris Boulevard is a very visible street, and at the same time, though, it does take away while approving your project. What we're doing is reducing our BPO in our city, and which is concerning because we continuously are getting rid of our BPO due to zone changes. And as Mr. Nasir did state, that we're very limited on the options to get these other projects. So as our city furthers, what's going to end up happening is that we're going to get closer and closer to our residents, which we're starting to see already. We're going to move into locations where these projects were never once considered. So I am concerned about this. I think it's a decent project, but it's just a bad location. If we could find another location, I think it'd be better. But just the location is bad. And keep in mind, I can't remember last time our planning commission voted 5-0 to deny a project. It's very rare. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Thank you, though.
Anybody else?
Yes. Yes, I'd
Mayor
like
Pro-
to, thank you. Yes, I'd like to add to that. And I've watched the Planning Commission, and they asked you several great questions, so I won't get into all the nitty-gritties that they did there. But one of the comments you said is that you're here to make profits, right? There's no denying that. And it's alarming that as a business owner, you purchase this property with the intentions upright to rezone. That's alarming for somebody who preaches we want to live, work, and play here to our residents. And then when it comes down to it, when we're making these decisions, we're not aligned with that. And no offense to you. You're, like I said, you're in the business of making money, right? But I'm in the business of practicing what I preach. And each and every decision of a rezone has become extremely critical and dangerous to our residents. Like my colleague mentioned, it's driving down further south, and we've had rezones that are literally in people's backyards. So again, location to me is everything, and a rezone to me is very critical and dangerous. So that's just something that I am going to consider as I move forward with this vote. And again, I'd like to express my gratitude to our Planning Commission for vetting this project through and through. I know one of the things I mentioned was the potential of shade, and that was something that was denied up front, right? Because of the cost, it's just out of, right? Is that correct, or is that something that you've reconsidered?
No, it's now a condition of approval.
Only for the charging stations, right? It's not for your entire facility?
Well, that's the only place where there'd be human beings under.
Okay, thank you. Those are all the comments I have.
Okay, so Mike, can we go back to the site plan, the overview, the aerial shot? That shows the partials, kind of, Nathan?
That's it. Yeah, I think if you just, can you zoom in on this or no? You want to see the parcel lines?
I want to see the aerial.
Yeah, it's on this. You see it's the lines?
No. I want to see the aerial view of the map. There you go.
Okay.
So we're surrounded, so, I get what everybody's saying here, but it's also our planning commission that doesn't have to come to us to approve all these industrial projects if it's in the plan. We have a lot of owner-operators. My only approval for rezones is if it's a great benefit to the community or the community themselves want it. In this case, I have been approached by many truck owner-operators, if that's the proper terminology. They have no place to park in Paris, and we keep sicking our code enforcement police after them to go give them tickets, and those are very expensive tickets for them. Sure, there might be some other areas, it's getting limited. There's still a whole northern section that has much bigger partials for BPO above that. Outside of that, everything else is surrounded by warehouses, and I think this is right? I think this is a great spot. We need these trucks. I mean, me personally, in the back of my residence is Bradley. It's wide enough for 4 lanes, but it's technically only 2 lanes, so it's a nice drag strip. But I have about 3 different truck owners that periodically come and literally park right behind my house or further down. Within my residence, I have 2 or 3 more additional trucks that my neighbors are constantly complaining to me because they know the mayor's right around the corner. Why isn't he doing anything? We have all these trucks parked in here, and we're not asking to build a warehouse. We're asking us to build a parking for all these trucks that are being created because of these warehouses. So, that one little strip is not going to kill me for the BPO when I have plenty of BPO everywhere else. We're almost done with the north. What's left, there's only 15% left, I understand. Mr. Fung, we're down to like 15% left up in the north? Or is it
Yeah,
less now?
probably less than that
by
now.
And the bulk of the area is in the south. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. At this point, yes. Councilwoman Rogers?
Just one question. On the 8.3 acres, approximately how many trucks would that be able to accommodate?
I think it's 201.
Wow.
101. And on the other property that you have that you're in development now, under construction, how many trucks would that hold?
I think it was 240. That one was 9.5 acres, is a little bit smaller, approximately.
So that would take an awful lot of burden off of our streets by keeping them there at night or something like that, where they wouldn't have to do that as well. And I also know a lot of people that do have owner-operator permits that always are looking for places to park their cars and looking for other land just to put it on at night. So I know there's a definite need for that, and looking at everything that you're willing to do as far as the conditions the Planning Commission has asked you to do, your commitment to help with the Skills Center, just shows that you do have compassion for the city of Paris and what we're trying to do by training our residents. So I would be willing to make a motion to approve the project by adopting resolution number next in order, adopting mitigated negative declaration 2388, and approving conditional use permit 22-05172 based on the conditions of approval, and adopt the first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order approving specific plan amendment 21-05173.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Just to clarify, is that, Councilmember Rogers, are you trying to make a motion?
To approve it, yes.
We're not done with the public hearing.
Oh.
Yeah. So right now, we're at the stage where the applicant is making a presentation.
All right.
Afterwards, you would bring up public comment and then
All
potentially a
right.
rebuttal and then close the public hearing.
Just hold your motion.
I don't have anything else unless there's questions for me.
Well, we do. I think Councilman Corona still had a comment.
Yeah, for just a comment. Yeah, I do kind of want to clarify something, Mayor. I think you mentioned, which is a good point, that this area is surrounded by industrial, but at one time, and I'm talking about recent time, while we were on the council, all this land was BPO, and throughout the years, like the area south of that was BPO. The area to the east of that, which is your lot as well, was also BPO. So at the time, my concern at that time was, I'm afraid to approve this because then we're going to be switching everything around there. And the argument was made too that, hey, we still have plenty of BPO. We still have the site facing Paris Boulevard. Well, now we're coming up with an item that they're going to take that away. So the argument that's saying like, hey, but there's still plenty of BPO is disappearing. If I'm a betting man, I could bet a fair enough to say the area on the north within our lifetime is going to be switched to industrial. And the argument is going to be made at that time, oh, hey, look, all this area right here is already industrial, so let's go ahead and switch that to industrial as well too. So it just goes along the line of what Mayor Pro Tem Nava was saying, that all the BPO is diminishing, it's going away, and in its place is industrial, which in this case and many other cases is usually low income or very low amount of jobs, instead of what could be a future potential thriving location for high paying jobs. So I just want to kind of bring that up, that it's not that it was all of a sudden, here, and but it's been in the recent time. It's not from the council that was 15 years ago, 10 years ago. It was within the last few years that this item and this whole area has continuously become industrialized. So that's my statement. Thank you.
Totally understand what you're saying, but we need truck parking terminals for all these trucks. And this council, I'm sorry, we've only done maybe 2 or 3 rezones. We didn't do all this industrial. This was done prior to us, so.
No, what the area down south was.
Oh, south,
Within
yeah.
we were there, and the area on the east of that was.
Okay, well, I'm referring to up here. All right. This time I'm going to close thank you, Mr. Nasir, you may sit down. I'm going to close the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Before you close the public hearing, I would ask that you invite members of the public up to make public comment.
Madam Clerk, did we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? All right, we're going to close the public hearing at 9:21. And at this time, I'll call for a motion on the resolution either denying or call for a motion on the resolution and the first reading of the ordinance approving the project.
Mr. Mayor, as I stated earlier, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project, adopting the mitigated negative declaration and approving conditional use permit.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Rogers.
And also, just to clarify, to introduce the ordinance as well.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
All right, we have a second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
Yes, for clarification, will that include what Councilman Rab was saying, and I think the previous thing where for 30 years they can't rezone? Or where they can't build a warehouse?
That has to be looked into. The language look into that. Yeah.
Okay, because the previous item, the item on the east of that, we did put something in there.
It's a
correct?
30-year covenant. We're still
Okay.
going to have that on
That's still
here.
gonna be there. Okay.
What he's bringing up is at the end of the 30 years, it's going to be revisited and not just go into a
Gotcha.
warehouse right away.
Okay, thank you.
All right, call the vote, please.
Rab, Rogers, Vargas, yes. Corona, Nava, no.
Thank you. 11I, consideration to adopt the first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order, approving a 5-year schedule of water rate and charge increase. The first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order is entitled an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Paris, County of Riverside, State of California, approving a 5-year schedule of increases in water service rates and charges. This will be introduced by our city manager, Mr. Ernie Reyna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. So the item I have before you is our Proposition 218 public hearing, and this was brought before the council originally on May 9th. And so I'm going to go over just a quick review. This will be a brief overview of what we have gone through so far and what the next steps are. So again, on May 9th, the City Council did give direction for our staff to move forward with several items, which included adopting the water rate study that was conducted by Stetson Engineer. And in attendance today, we do have Mr. Stan Chen, who's here. If there's any questions, he can answer those as well. The council did direct the staff to approve the proposed water rates for the next 5 years and also send out customers, both in English and Spanish, the Prop 218 notices for the public hearing, which was today. And those notices were mailed the day after that last meeting on May 9th, which was May 10th, again, both in English and in Spanish, to over 4,000 parcels. Again, both property owners, renters, and everybody along the likes. Just a quick recap of where we're at and why we're here. And so the study conducted by Stetson Engineers showed that for both systems, the downtown and the North Paris water system, we were losing money in each one of those. So these systems were intended to hold their own and to be whole. But because the rates haven't been increased for over 10 years, what we were seeing is that the downtown water rate system was losing about $600,000 per year, and then the North Paris was losing about $150,000 per year. So on average, we were losing about $770,000 per year that the general fund was subsidizing. So that was money being taken out of our general fund to pay for this gap in the shortage in the water rates. And so what the water rate study did find is that if we did not make this increase, this is now looking prospectively going forward, beginning with the current year. This current year, which we're in right now, 23-24, we were looking for well over $1 million loss for these systems. And so as we go through the years for the next 5 years, what we could potentially see is that this system would be losing about $2.1 million per year. Again, this is monies that the general fund is subsidizing and be taken out of the general fund to make sure that this system is whole. And so what the study did propose is that if we did have an increase, a 10% increase for the next 5 years, that in the 5th year, we'd finally start to see the numbers come back to being whole. And so this system would once again be paying for itself. And as you can see in that year, fiscal year 27-28, we would go back to the black, about $23,000 after being in the red for the previous 4 years. So we want to ensure that we go back to that black. And so the only way to do that is to raise the rates. And again, the study that Stetson conducted indicated that those rates should be increased by 10% for the next 5 years. And so what that would look like now, so as you can see, this is a little graph of where we stand now. And so existing, this was based on the 22-23 monthly bill estimates for the downtown water system. On average is about $71.84. For the north is about $62.92. So then every year thereafter, the 10% increase would be occurring, and you can see the increases that would occur. In the year one, it would jump up to $79.02 in the downtown system, $69.21 in the first year. So a year-over-year increase of what that would be. And by the end of the 5th year, all we're doing is on par, getting on par with systems that are in the area of us. So neighboring water systems, we'd be in line with where they're at. So that's all we're doing is making sure that we're in line and the system as whole, not losing money. And so next steps where we're at now. So today we're introducing this Prop 218 public hearing and introducing the first reading of the ordinance. Staff will come back on August 29th with the second reading of the ordinance. And then 30 days later, the new rates would go into effect. So roughly October 1st, those new water rates would begin to take effect on that day. And then January 31st, 2024, the 120-day challenge period would end as of that point. And so today, what we're doing, the requested action, we have several requested actions. And so it's recommended the City Council do the following: open and conduct the Proposition 218 public hearing by receiving oral written testimony and any written protests. Number 2, determine the official number of valid written protests received on proposed water rates and charges. And number 3, if the number of valid written protests is less than a majority, then introduce the first reading of the ordinance approving the new water rates and charges schedule. And with that, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, if there's any questions for myself or Mr. Chen, we're both here to answer questions.
Thank you, Mr. Reyna.
Yes.
Council, anybody have any questions before I open the public comment for clarifications? All right, we're going to open up the public hearing at 9:28. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Hearing none or seeing any, we will close public comment at 9:28.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Before we close public hearing, I would want to clarify that you request to see if there's anyone else that wishes to submit a written protest before we close the public hearing. And also, I would like to tabulate the protests as well after that's done.
Did we have any written complaints or protests?
No, we just received a total number of protests received were 6, and number of valid protests, 5.
Right. And just to clarify, is anyone else in the audience wishing to submit a written protest at this time? And with that, I would clarify with the city clerk that the number of valid written protests do not exceed a majority or do not meet a majority of parcels. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. That's just for the record.
All right, thank you. That was in my notes. I didn't see that. All right, we're going to close the public hearing at 9:29. Thank you for that clarification. And at this time, I'll call for a motion on the first reading of the ordinance. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Mayor Pro Tem Nava. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, item 12 is business items not requiring public hearings. 12A is consideration to appoint 2 applicants to fill the vacant seats on the beautification committee. This will be introduced by our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Wendell Bugtight.
Thank you, Mayor. This item will be introduced by Robert Trejo.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council.
Welcome, Robert.
Yes, sir. Before you, you have the item to consider to appoint 2 applicants to fill vacant seats on the Beautification Committee. Just a brief history on our Beautification Committee. The Beautification Committee was officially implemented on February 14th of this year. May 30th of this year, the City Council adopted the Beautification Committee guidelines. Guidelines require 5 Paris residents to be appointed by the City Council. Initial recruitment process began on June 2nd through June 16th of 2023. Due to receiving only 2 applications, a second recruitment timeframe was posted on June 26th through July 14th of this year. Approval of the remaining 3 vacancies will be presented at a future council meeting. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the 2 applicants that submitted their paperwork on time to fulfill, or rather to fill, the vacancies of the Beautification Committee. Those 2 applicants are Ms. Delia Garcia, who's in the audience this evening, and Mr. Andre Mitchell, who unfortunately could not be with us tonight. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Who's in the audience?
Ms. Delia Garcia.
Where are you, Delia? There you are. Sorry you had to wait so long. Okay, thank you for that presentation. Council, anybody have any comments for clarification? Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes, I received a telephone call from Mr. Andre Mitchell yesterday to express his desire to remain on the Beautification Committee and that how much he truly enjoys the work that they've been doing. Unfortunately, he apologized for not being able to be here tonight. His mother took a bad fall, broke her ankle, and he's taking care of her right now. So that's why he's not here.
Duly noted. Anybody else? All right, public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Hearing or seeing none, I will call for a motion to appoint the 2 applicants to the Beautification Committee at this time. I have a motion by Councilman Rabb, second by Councilwoman Rogers. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. 12B is consideration to designate a city council member, voting delegate, and up to 2 alternates for the League of California Cities Annual Conference being held September 20th through September 22nd in Sacramento, California. This will be introduced by our Assistant City Manager, Wendell Bugtight.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The League of California Cities Annual Conference is being held September 20th to September 22nd of this year. This item is to consider to designate a city council member as a voting delegate and up to 2 alternates. So I hand it back to the council for that.
Thank you for that detailed presentation. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this item? All right, council, anybody have any comments or questions or want to introduce or make a motion to approve somebody or appoint?
Yes, I want a motion to approve the mayor, who's also planning on going there anyways, and also Mayor Pro Tem Nava, because she'll do a fantastic job in Sacramento.
Second that.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Corona, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call a vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, item 13 is council communications. Strongly recommend we move to next week, our next meeting. All right, that being said, let's see, who do we start with? Councilman Rogers.
In light of the time, I have nothing to say.
Thank you. Councilman Rabb?
I want to thank Community Services for doing a great job at the first annual city fireworks. Everybody enjoyed it, received nothing but compliments. One of the bailiffs in the court who lives in Paris said he had a great time. He was watching it from Ryder. So excellent job. And if anybody was offended by any of my comments, I apologize for the way I may have worded some things earlier today, but I get real passionate about healthy eating and health. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. I did have the chance to attend the last few you know the food truck events over here at by the old Paris Theater, with so many people coming out, and then some of those people, they go to the neighboring businesses. But if we could possibly look into putting fencing around there with wrought iron fence, because one of the requirements, since they do sell alcohol there, they are required to put this fence, but it kind of looks a little tacky. But a good solution would possibly be to put a permanent fencing there too. At the same time too, the theater is a prominent location for them when they do their advertisements. And but I do think it needs a little facelift. If we could do painting, possibly get the lights working, which might bring us to our next thing of when we do our capital improvements. Think about seriously fixing up the theater again in the proper form. I know it's going to be expensive, but we do have the funds to do it. And the very last thing, I don't want to bring up one item that we discussed today, but if we could have staff organize a meeting with myself and possibly one of my colleagues who might want to join me with the California grocers and all the grocery stores to kind of really hash out some things, because I think it's important to bring that item back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. In respect to time, I'll keep my comments very brief, but I do want to highlight also the 4th of July event. It was probably one of the best attended events. I'm sure staff can confirm how many attendees we had, but it was excellent. So I am so excited to see what we bring back for second annual. So just wanted to make those comments known. And then also express our frustrations as residents of the illegal fireworks. So hopefully now that we have a spectacular 4th of July event, maybe we can deter some of those illegal fireworks that take place. So those are all my comments for tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, I have a full load of comments, so I'm going to refer to those to the next meeting. But I do want to comment to make sure that the staff, you do have, or city manager, make sure to have staff, Crystal Lopez in particular, recontact the grocery stores, let them know that this amendment did not pass and that the current ordinance of 1423 is in effect since July 1st. They're going to need to comply to that until more talks are done and if there are any changes down the road. And then I'll save everything else to the next meeting. All right, city manager's report, item 14.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no comments for tonight.
Thank you for being brief. Someone listen to me. All right, 15, unfortunately, is our adjournment. It's with very saddened news that we have to adjourn in memory of our the mayor's and council's executive assistant, Monica Martinez, who passed away unexpectedly on June 15th. And if you could please give me a few minutes to read this. City of Paris executive assistant to the mayor and city council, Monica Martinez, did pass away unexpectedly on June 15, 2023. Monica began her career with the City of Paris as a temporary administrative assistant in May of 2014 and was hired full-time in November of 2014. In this position, she provided support to the assistant city manager and the city clerk's department. On January 14, 2019, Monica was promoted to executive assistant in support of the city manager and the city council, and eventually provided exclusive support to the mayor and the city council. Prior to working for the City of Paris, Monica worked for the Riverside County Office of Education as a secretary to the Board of Education. Monica is survived by her son Adam, her daughter Savannah, her sister Judy, her nephew Gabriel, and her mother Margarita. From my heart and the hearts of everybody from this city, thank you. We are adjourned.